Good evening, everyone. Take two. Sorry about the false start. I'm gonna need a minute to just load up the stream again, and that's to make sure that I am actually kind of broadcasting and I have all my settings again. So it seems that there was some kind of an audio problem. This might have something to do with a Windows update. Some kind of. Yep, it did. Uh, there we go. Okay, so I suspect I probably just murdered whatever viewership I would get through. Excuse me. Probably just murdered whatever viewership I would get through announcing a stream on Twitter, but
All right, so
that's life. Let me just stop a million and one videos from opening up here. But yeah, so apologies. I guess technically I'm a little bit later starting than I would have wanted because I needed to get the microphone business done, but we will persevere. Let's just take a second. I'll jump right into the game. It might take a minute to load just because I did a reset. My system takes a little while to load up everything in. And there will be a cutscene, and then we will introduce the game and pick up from where we left off last week.
Titan. Everyone comes to Titan with a dream. Our moon is one of limitless wealth. There are ancient riches here for those with the strength to claim them. But some dreams start smaller. A better life, more dignity, more comfort. Today, Titan is a place where you can buy those dreams, where anyone can profit. But it isn't easy. You have to prove yourself here. Those who settle here take that risk. And without their diligent labor, our power grid would fail. Pollution would overwhelm us. And our trade would collapse. It's hard work, but on Titan, hard work isn't enough. The bold, the strong, those are the people Titan rewards. Those are the ones who see their dreams through. Exceptional people. Friends to the Council. That is why we're giving you this opportunity, Founder. We expect great things from you. Make sure you live up to our expectations.
How the devil are you, Olaf? Good to see you as always. Which Industries of Titan character do you identify most with? But yeah, I've been looking forward to this. So I will. I know I was a little whiny about. No, I wasn't just a little whiny. I was very whiny about Stellaris on Monday. So I will try to keep a positive attitude. But it's Industries of Titan. It's Brace Yourself Games. They're good people. Actually, it's not a bad time maybe for me to mention that Brace Yourself Games did very kindly offer me a key for Industries of Titan, as well as Phantom Brigade. But we're playing Titan tonight. So the key was given for promotional purposes. Obviously, it's been a very long time since I first got that key, but there's never really so far as I can tell, there's no point at which they say you need to stop disclosing that. And my enthusiasm for the game is very apparent, and I think, at this point, I suspect it's kind of accepted. That's the state of things. But it's good to disclose it kind of conspicuously right up at the front, and until I get kind of an official ruling in terms of when I need to stop saying that, or when I should stop, maybe not need to, but like when it's okay to stop saying that sort of stuff. I hope you don't mind that I'll just, I'll carry on, and I hope it's not too irritating. But in the end, I mean, stuff like that, stuff like that is in place to kind of protect us. So you never get to stop. Yeah, if you accept one game from a company, even if that company goes under, you're forever obligated to disclose the interest just in case. There could be nobody will benefit, but you're on the hook. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, right? Like you obviously, you don't want people to like. I mean, we've seen it, right? We've definitely seen people. Well, like that's actually that's the big thing for me, Olaf. Like to me, I just like being able to talk about what nice people Brace Yourself are, and the fact that they very kindly took a chance, giving a key to me when by any sort of standard metric, I'm not really the sort of person who a developer of that size, right? Like I feel like Crypt of the Necrodancer was a very successful game. Obviously they have had a partnership with Nintendo, for a Zelda property, no less. And of course, they're making two absolutely incredible games in early access now, or Industries of Titan and Phantom Brigade. So, the fact of the matter is that generally people of that size, not to spend too much time on the inside baseball stuff, but you definitely can see the types of developers and the types of sort of, influencer manager relations. There's a bunch of different kind of roles that do this. And there is a very strong tendency to just sort of rank based on concurrent views or whatever. And the fact of the matter is that my metrics along those lines have not really improved. They've gotten considerably worse over the last couple of years. And it has actually closed off some opportunities for me. I know we talked about this before. Now, you can get mad about that, and you can talk about how unfair and what a bunch of jerks people are. I'm not entirely sure that's really the best attitude to it. Especially because in the end, people are going to have sort of a plan for how they want to promote a game. I should never have an expectation that I'm sort of entitled to a game or a key or whatever. No matter how important I think I am or how good of a fit I think I am, it's kind of up to the developer to decide how they want to promote things. But with that in mind, in that context, Brace Yourself sort of stood out among people in this class as being willing to sort of take a chance. I certainly hope that it was a good fit. I very much enjoyed sharing this game, and I have gotten some very positive feedback in terms of people discovering the game, giving it a try, or some people don't want to play things in early access, so at the very least it's very firmly entrenched it on their wish list for when it gets a 1.0 release. But one way or the other, I'm glad that everyone has been so receptive to the game, because obviously my hope, while I don't feel like I need to move a certain number of units, one of the rewarding parts of this is connecting people with games that they really enjoy. Obviously, if I just get keys for the purposes of like seeing them as sort of like fuel for my little content furnace, well, like the developer is under no obligation to give me that material, right? Like I can buy it as much as the next one. But the thing is that the keys that people give me do make a difference on the margin, right? Like I am much more likely to pay to play a game that I've been given a key for. Whereas if I want to buy something, I need to wait until I hit that threshold of something that I'm willing to sort of pay for. And I don't mind paying for games, right? I don't just play stuff that I've been given keys for. I, in fact, sometimes turn down keys for games that I think I will enjoy, and sometimes I've later bought simply because I either can't do them on stream or I don't think they'd be a good fit on stream. But with that, with all of that in mind, I definitely find it very helpful in terms of picking what to do on stream and kind of having those things sort of decide whether or not that's going to be the next thing that I play. Those kinds of keys are very helpful. And in the case of Industries of Titan, I actually didn't know that it was coming out at the time. I'm pretty sure anyway, because I think I had filled out a form ages ago and sort of, I knew I was interested in Industries of Titan. I'm pretty sure Phantom Brigade was on that as well. Anyway, they both looked very interesting. And I put my name in because I knew that, well, one, I knew that I liked Brace Yourself stuff, but more importantly, I knew they're Canadian, and I really like to support Canadian stuff. But it was I got an email, I think it was from Ryan Clark for Industries, and then it was Maddie for Phantom Brigade. But basically, the email came into my inbox, and in that case, it's like, oh, I'm obviously going to do this thing now, right? I didn't know that Titan had been released into early access. I was certainly very interested in the game, and so in that particular case, that's sort of how you can see that mechanism working and ensuring that sort of I'm covering the game earlier in its life cycle than I would have, whereas if I'd bought the game, I might have been one of those people who only played it in 1.0, and what a shame that would have been, right? We wouldn't have been able to have all of this, this fun in the early access period. So it's kind of funny how all this stuff works out, but yeah, to your point, Olaf, like, I definitely try and turn it to a plus, because I honestly really like being able to say, hey, these are some people who did a really nice thing for me, and I'm hoping they're getting something in return. So we're going to continue the story of Kotarad Industries. So this is the second session that we're playing in the new patch. The big headline feature of the new patch was rival corporations, which we've not yet seen yet because we haven't expanded out to a kind of a sufficient distance. The way that the patch notes talked, I almost wonder if the rival corporation winds up in the middle of the map. But we'll find out. We're playing the Ruthless Opportunity start, so in this case, it's going to be something that lots of rebel bases, lots of resources to pick up. But I definitely want to make sure that I'm able to make the most of those opportunities. And I can't remember where we were in terms of the rebel attacks, but we're definitely at a point where I want to start building some ships. And the Codex Titan's ruling council has never passed a single environmental protection law. Corporations say, with no environment to speak of, why should it? Okay, so yes, we dealt with the rebels. Have we got a level 3 headquarters? We do. Okay, so this is good. We have an isotope node. We have a mineral node. Of course, the reality is we have so many patches to pick up. I don't think we are going to be building any mines, or I may even skip the larger factories for the time being. It's actually, maybe now would not be a bad time for me to think about the overall strategy for the next little while. So we're generating a lot of garbage. I was under the impression I'd already put down a smokestack. I almost feel like I was going to build it here. But if that's true, I've got an isotopes patch that's in the way. So let's just take a second here and think. So there's a few things that I'm going to want to do. I'm going to want to build sort of a residential section. Now, it's a little difficult on Ruthless Opportunity because there's sort of zethane and potentially pollution everywhere. And on top of that, we've got the council hall and the spaceport sort of on the left-hand side. So basically, we're going to have pollution coming from a mine here, pollution coming from a mine here. We've got a negative environment from the spaceport, and we've got a negative environment coming from the council hall. So this is pretty unlikely to be an area where we'll put housing. This is kind of unlikely for a place with housing. There is something appealing about this isotope, this isotope node is the drawback. There's generally something appealing with, this being sort of far from the crevices, like this little area here in particular. So if we take a look at the zethane, essentially we want it to be sort of a dead zone, ideally. Well, I guess one way that I could do this, I could actually do something a little bit different from what I normally do. I could actually build the residential and office space sort of in the middle here. And the argument for that is, let's see if we can do... Yes, as you can see, the council hall's not ideal, but this is a pretty livable little area. There's also an area off to the left here, but that is, well, it's manageable. I might want to put like a fuel turbine in here, which would mess with it. But yeah, now that I think of it, it wouldn't hurt for me to have, you know, start building some residential and office buildings in this area. There'll be a little bit of a problem with the vehicles, I think, but vehicles have always kind of been a problem for me. So I think I'll just kind of accept the trouble and move on. Okay. So that answers that, I guess. Residential and office in this area first, and then eventually in this area. I am going to need to think about my placement of fuel turbines. So originally I would have maybe put a doubled up fuel turbine in here, but we've got the inert ruin. Ooh, generates Zethane too. So I mean, if anything, I can just move this fuel turbine over in this area. Another alternative would be to, like, once we get some kind of expansion down here, I could double it up. But, I mean, again, that's not something I can do right now. I mean, the alternative would be that I move the fuel turbine into this area and kind of go horizontal. I actually think that's slightly preferable. Okay, so that suggests to me that I want to clear out this isotopes patch. What this doesn't do, though, is answer the question of where I put the smokestack. So, all told... Okay, so what are the properties that I would want of a smokestack? One, it's got to connect to a roadway. Otherwise... yes, okay. So I actually see where my... Okay, so one small complication I have with my decision to sort of put residential areas in here, it's a little cramped as far as smokestack placement. So if I put the smokestack here, I'm basically putting the smokestack in the backyard of all the residential areas. Not ideal. If I put a smokestack over here, well, this is a natural location for me to expand sort of residential areas. So again, I'm kind of putting the smokestack, you know, in an inconvenient place. So really, my options now would be, you know, I can't put it on here, the opposite of where it would be. Essentially, I got to put it here or I got to put it here. And again, both of these are going to be kind of close to the residential areas, but I got to put a smokestack down somewhere, right? So we'll just live with what we've got. Now, if I want to try and put it on one of these areas, the drawback is that I don't have road access to it. So really, it kind of comes down to kind of putting a smokestack basically here, which again is not that far from where I'm going to be putting all my residential areas. But of course, we can also move the smokestack when the time comes. So I think that's going to be how I work with it. I guess one other alternative I could have would be to sort of stick the smokestack sort of in the corner here, because then that gets it away from my initial residential and it's sort of far from the others. Actually, there's something appealing about this, because the spaceport's sort of miserable anyway. You know what? I feel better about this option. And I do need that smokestack pretty quickly. So let's, I'm going to claim this for the artifacts right away, and then we'll get these ruins when we can. Okay, so that's the smokestack taken care of. I'm going to need to buy a road system sooner or later. But for the time being, we're going to need to have time pass. Okay. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some work that I need to do in terms of moving everything around, but we can work through it. We are still generating a profit, so I think we can head over to the factory. Oh, how much you want to bet I'm not able to convert? Oh, nope, I can convert. Cool. So yeah, it's going to be a mess here for a while, and my production for isotopes and minerals is going to be slowed by a pretty significant amount for a while. I have some ideas about how I'm going to work around that, but I've got other priorities to handle right now, so... Okay, I think I said something about how I was going to take advantage of this inert ruin. Right, I was going to build a fuel turbine here and then eventually on this isotopes patch. Okay, well, we can get the groundwork down. What am I doing? Okay, that's going to be one that we extract for minerals and isotopes, but that's going to take a while. However, we can start on the smokestack right away. So that's 100 mineral CUs and 2 isotopes. And it's going to be lengthwise. Now, this shipyard's not going to get built until we get rid of the waste, so the smokestack's a bit of a priority now. I'm reluctant to donate the minerals right now because I am actually going to... I don't have a game plan for getting those back quite yet. So we're just going to naturally let the influence build up. I am, however, going to try and convert more workers. So yeah, at the moment, my big priority. So number one, I just want to get things like the smokestack built, and then, So I think this might be a liability because of the fuel turbine. We'll definitely use this as an energy relay. And I definitely want to use this for energy storage. Okay. One other thing I should note is the corporate goals. So we need 3 in Marshall Math. So it turns out we only need to achieve 1 of these, although I would like to get the hat trick if I can. So Surveillance Specialist, own 18 command centers. Top Influencer, own 150 influence. That should be pretty straightforward. Impenetrable, own 18 defensive turrets. I suspect that will be a little bit more difficult than the command centers. Landowner, claim 120 tiles, so that should probably follow from the command centers. And then Fleet Commander, possess 8 ships, so that's just a matter of building enough shipyards. Essentially, we need 4 shipyards for that. So, to be honest, these Marshall goals are not too challenging, I don't feel. We're just going to get somebody working on the smokestack right away. I could have sworn that we had someone assigned to the... I could have sworn that we built a smokestack at some point, but I definitely don't see it anywhere on my screen. I think I was probably going to build it here. Now, it is worth mentioning, like, what am I trying to say? The highway is going to be a bit of a priority, and it is going to be difficult to build it up, right? So this artifact patch is going to require quite a bit of influence. So this is the double-edged sword of the ruthless opportunity. Is that you have so much in the area, it's high value, and so it actually requires quite a bit of influence in order to be able to take advantage of it all. So there's a few ideas that I have in terms of making this work, but again, there's... Ooh, we're full up on everything now, it looks like. Vern!
Hey, Founder. We're all doing pretty good over here in waste management. You've given us a smoother start than some of the other places I've worked. I've been around the block a few times, a bunch of times. Most of these startup cities go under after a few months. It's bad planning, They build a weak power grid, or they tell me to put all the waste directly beside the dormitory or whatever. Well, you get one major disaster on your hands, and then it's two, and then it's three before you know it. It doesn't matter to me. My skills are useful everywhere. But you get tired of packing up and moving on, you know. And for me, it's a lot of packing up. I got my lab here at the office, and my lab at home, and a couple other labs out in the city. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on, Founder. Lots of pots boiling, lots of ideas, you know, simmering in the background. I want to be useful, Founder. I want this city to take off. Let's talk about some of my ideas later, okay?
All right. I wanted you all to have an opportunity to buy up some follows. My birthday's coming up, so, you know, for those of you who want to give a gift. Yeah, I wanted Vern to get his dialogue out of the way before I got rid of that. So the opportunity of a lifetime has just passed before your eyes. Sorry if I kept that from you. Okay, so the waste situation is slowly going to resolve itself as we move waste to the smokestack. That is why I assigned a worker towards it, but it's going to be very slow, and one of the ways that I can speed that up is by building my highways. Another factor, of course, I can spend a lot of minerals on the isotopes patch as well, but again, we got another waste problem here, so I'm going to build this, but I don't have a strong expectation of it getting made anytime soon. But anything I can do right now to sort of help with my storage problems, the better. So actually, I guess with that in mind, let's donate some minerals. So 10 influence away, but this shipyard's also going to be a great opportunity for me to spend some minerals. I'm not quite ready to pay for the spaceport storage yet because I'm assuming that we're going to have, like, we need to pay our workers and such. Although I can afford to upgrade the defensive turret now, so I should probably get on that. We are also just taking a look at the energy grid right now, I am going to run into some power problems with the construction of that new shipyard. Now normally I build a bunch of stuff here, so I guess batteries are kind of obvious. So let's see if I can make some sense here. Oh yeah, this is child's play. So I was thinking I would maybe do some storage of some kind as well, but that's not quite as important. I am, however, going to need to figure out what my power needs are going to be. So I think I'm just going to make another power floor, to be honest. Especially because that's going to save me the effort of assigning workers to power plants. So I'm not too worried about this. This will resolve itself before too long. Alright, we can start clearing out that isotopes patch. Again, I'm doing this more so to clear it rather than to get the resources. Another thing that I might want to do is start putting down a mine just so I can clear this all out nice and early. Of course, the catch is going to be that this is going to be an area where I want to put space for workers, and a space for workers and residential buildings and office buildings. So, you know, there's going to be a little maneuvering. Another factor that I want to consider is that right now, one of my bigger constraints is not minerals or isotopes, but it's actually influence. So one thing that I may want to consider is clearing out these ruins and doing an early command center just so that I can get these ruin monuments. There's definitely going to be a very high cost associated with it, but because I'm just generating so much in terms of all of these other resources, I can actually see this working rather well for me. Now we'll test that assumption. Obviously, I've got existing. There's going to be some claims on my resources just as I build up my fleet. So as always, we've got the Goshawk, we've got the Gearfalcon, and the Harpagus. I think in this case we'll go for a pair of Harpagus. Maybe Harpagai. Crew inside the Kite must remain crouched at all times due to most of the cramped ship being used for equipment. Hull strength 240, speed 12.5, ship tiles 112, 6 max crew, 28 second build time, and it'll cost us 250 mineral CUs. Alright, let's see if there's anything cleaned up on the factories. Nope. Okay, so let's start clearing out those roads. It's actually a small argument to shift the factory over by one so we can move around. This was always intended to be temporary, but I think for the time being, let's just get the most direct path. So I can spend 10 and blow it up for nothing, or I can spend 10. Yeah. Blow it up for nothing. I'll feel bad about it, but... What else do I want to do? So we can already build a command center when we get our mineral resources back up. I think the transport hub and the road is the better purchase for me right now. Actually, this would be an interesting question. Where do I want to put the road? So again, we want... Well, no, I know where I want to put the road. Where do I want to put the transport hub? So you'd think this might make a good location, but because this activated batteries in the way, I actually have to go all the way around the edge to access it. And again, we get back to those two artifact patches. So there is a small argument for me to just kind of tuck it off to the side here and build the roadway like so. I didn't quite plan this out appropriately. I was actually thinking of doing a roadway that did a little something like this. I guess I could still make it work, so I'd put the transport hub here instead. Yeah, I think that works. But obviously we need to wait for the obviously I need to wait for the influence and the the money to be able to build the building, so we'll be waiting a little while on that. There is something of a priority in terms of trying to get the conversion capsule, keep that active, but the drawback is that we've got a lot of garbage, so I'm very slowly trying to move up the number of workers. We'll have the citizens to sort of be able to back that up, but again, it just takes a while to get all this stuff done. And I'm intrigued by the worker who's just kind of sitting idle, because it would seem to me that there's plenty of cleaning jobs for them to do. Okay, so for some reason they didn't feel like they were capable of cleaning waste. That's a little surprising to me. I'm also wondering if I could afford... Yeah, I'm definitely not at the point where I can afford to just assign 1 employee to all of these. We've got 6 free employees and 5 assigned. So I think I'm just going to have to be patient for a little bit. I know it means that we're not going to be getting any additional resources, which is going to put a bit of a cramp on my... Well, actually, you know what? If that's true, let's just shut down the employee modules then, and we get a couple of free workers. So once we start seeing these output modules cleared out, then then I can consider alternatives. And looks like we are short. Okay. Looks like we're also sort of overdone as far as single isotopes are concerned, so let's donate some of those to free up some space. Alright, now I've already got my potential roadway in place. Let's clear out these ruins just so I, mostly just so I can say I can. I do want to keep an eye on opportunities to get more citizens in, but right now we just don't have the living space. And I'm assuming we'll get a new worker as soon as the area is clean enough, so this might take a while. And our Harpagus is built, so let's see what we can do. So, there's a side of me that says, you know what, large lasers are really powerful and cool, but I don't think... Incidentally, I don't have my notebook with me. I'm charging it. I don't have any spare paper, so I guess the bit of good news is that you're not going to see me waste time. You're not going to see me waste time on, how do I put it, kind of working it all out on a notepad, but we are going to lose whatever advantage I had of just working, not working out, but having some ideas sort of sketched out. Now, I think this design, you're kind of obligated to put 2 engines in the tails here, so let's start with that. If I can... Oh yeah, I think I remember how I do this. So I think I stick a couple of medium lasers on the edges like this. So that sort of crowds the entrance, but not... it's not impossible. So we've got 4 energy that's being used right now. 5, 6... Now, for some reason, I really feel like I want a large generator in here because it generates so much. No. The medium generator still makes sense because we could turn off the med bay. But this area is not too kind to that sort of nonsense. All right, so let's just take a second here and see. Okay, so this fuel fabricator is generating 5. I was going to say, we'll divide by 3, but dividing by 3 doesn't actually work in that case. I feel like I have an answer to that. I'm sorry, I am actually going to tab out for a second here, because I'm pretty sure I've had an Excel sheet that listed some of the zethane amounts and the TFEF factor. So, wow, I've only got 1.3. So it looks like here we generated 3 fuel at 1.3 and 27.74 zethane. So ideally, I'd probably want... Well... What do I want? Yeah, no, I think we can get by with a small one. I'm probably gonna have to break my preference for. Well, no. We can stick it in here. We are going to use tier 2 minerals, though. Okay, so now we need power. So, to a certain extent, it kind of makes sense just to stick the power here and call it a day, right? There's another version of this which actually allows... Ooh, I like this idea, actually. So here we can allow for a certain degree of redundancy. I can't quite make it work with all of it. Okay. I'm less confident about this option, though. Like it feels like it should work, but it just doesn't quite deliver the way I want it to. But I do actually quite like this redundancy approach, so we're gonna stick with that. So really, at this point, the question is like how many battery. Well, sorry, I still need life support in the medical pod. So let's get those necessities in place. Now there's the consequences for my choices here. Okay, so you know what? We're gonna say that had promise, but I have other priorities for the energy right now. So I'm not ruling out the possibility of putting a large relay in these areas, but I do need to make sure that I have medbay taken care of first. The funny thing is that I actually think... is it really called the Scorching Drone? Funny thing is, I actually have a couple of blueprints. Yeah, I don't know. I think I want to try and be a little more thoughtful about how I'm building this one. It's not going to protect us from everything, but we are going to want to hang on to these for a little while. Okay, so there's the med bay. Now, I'm not opposed to sticking the life support in here. I just kind of need the assurance that I'm going to have the power for it. So let's sketch it out. Okay, so this doesn't break anything yet. Oh, is it really that easy? Yeah, I mean everything that needs power gets it, and then we've got plenty of room for batteries. Maybe not as much as it seems, but like it's enough. So okay. So we'll stick a battery beside the... That doesn't work because it entombs this side. We'll stick a little guy here, little guy here. Yeah, we can stick a little guy there as well. It's not symmetrical, but that's never stopped me before. We do still need to put crew pods in place, but we can work with that. We'll put it right beside the Z-Thane to motivate people not to go to bed. Actually, now that I put it that way.
Device complete. Device complete.
Yeah, no, I'm totally doing that. So it would be nice to get a little fuel storage in place as well. So I don't know if I've got enough space for one of the large fuel tanks, but we can definitely put some small ones down. What about a big one? That might work. Mind you, that could also work for batteries.
Device complete.
So I do get slightly more fuel per
Device complete.
per square for these, and obviously there's no like pipes or anything for
Device complete.
fuel. Okay, so we're going to turn off the medical pod temporarily just so those batteries can get charged. I am slightly annoyed at myself for taking this long on a fuel decision like this. All the best ships have a large amount of fuel just hanging out beside vital infrastructure. Ours should be no different. And I think I am going to go a little silly with the batteries. Again, I don't want to win too many things, but...
Device complete. Device complete.
I was thinking of sticking a couple in here, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. So, maybe just the one. And once this thing gets built, I think I'll save the template and we'll build another one identical to it. If nothing else, that has given me enough time to just sort of pass the time, and hopefully they've cleared up enough space to get another conversion in. And looks like they are starting to clear out the processors, so now it makes sense to have the employee modules open again. So the first thing that this ship's going to be used for is I'm actually going to use it to scout out the try and find the enemy corporation. Likely what's going to happen is we're going to wind up finding rebel bases. Just it's a sheer numbers game. But I figure at the very least we can, if we're going to build one of these things, we might as well, try and take advantage of the extra range it gives us to look at things. That's a lot of fuel. No, sorry. That's while I'm at it, let's just shut down everything that's generating, everything that's using power. Okay, so. Call this the Lost Tiger, because that's what the ship's called. Alright, and that isotopes patch is depleted, so this is a great excuse for us to spend more money. Although I guess I don't really need the fuel right now, so maybe we'll just hang on to that. Oh, wow. I didn't think we were that short. Okay, let's go exploring. Oh, turn back. So we're going to take a second to just refuel over there. It did occur to me that we've got a bunch of influence that's not being used right now. So let's start. There's a small argument to go for the artifact patch here, but of course a constant stream of artifacts is going to be something that emboldens the rebels. So let's just start slowly carving our path sort of around the regions where we want the road to go, other than the artifact patches. Now, we are still getting artifacts doing this, so, I kind of, I need to be realistic about the effect this is going to have on the attacks. But I don't know. In this case, it makes sense in my head. That's the only person I need to appeal to right now. We will be... Yeah, if we've got over 1,000 at the end of day, we can afford a transport hub. So we're going to build that now. I'm going to start by placing it here because we already have the plot.
Extraction complete. Extraction complete.
And eventually we'll add a second one down here, but right now I'm just trying to connect the road to the area that's generating the most waste. Okay, so let's try and go around the rebel territory and see if we can find... run for your lives. So that's a good fuel opportunity there. Oh, somebody wants a fight. Okay, so our suspicion about the rival corporation being in the middle of the map didn't turn out. Just a reminder, there are 8 camps on this map, so we're definitely going to be in an interesting position so far as dodging rebels are concerned. It's one of the reasons why I want to focus specifically on where this ship is and what it's doing. So I think at this point, one thing I might want to do is start checking the corners of the map. I don't have any prior knowledge of where the rival corporation is going to show up, and I also don't know if finding them sort of triggers any kinds of events or anything like that. But I figure, you know, it was a bunch of setup in the previous stream. The headline feature for this update is the sort of 1.0 version of rival corporations, and so it's a little silly, you know, not to go looking for them. You know, in future playthroughs, maybe I won't spend as much time investigating potential rivals. We're definitely not able to attack them. I believe, again, this is more so based off of the writing and what I saw in the trailer for, or I guess the teaser would be the proper name for it. But one of the earliest videos for Industries of Titan, there's kind of the reference to the combat bond. So I suspect the council is so good at making its money that they will also charge you for the privilege of attacking people who aren't the rebels. But in this particular case, we get to see the rival corp. I don't know. So I think it said something to the effect of a rival corp will have similar objectives to you. Oh, how much you want to bet that's them? Basically, I want to see how Brace Yourself plays this game. Oh wow, they're building so many factories. Can I look inside them? Nope. But we can't get an idea of what they're up to. So this thing's just packed with waste, packed with waste. Oh, this is so interesting. They've got such a different way of playing than me. I mean, for all I know, these could be storage buildings. They've got one energy plant here. They've got 2 fuel turbines, it looks like. Yeah, it's a very, very different way of playing. So basically, what you're seeing here is the right way to play this game. So we're not going to need this ship against the rebels, so I'll let them stick around. Actually, the one thing I shouldn't do is... Oh, actually, here's an idea. We can just suck up the Zethane next to their turbine. It's not going to be a huge, drag on it, but might as well use their area for refueling. Ah, yes, I should have considered. Should have considered my energy needs. Now, I suspect upgrading this to a tier 3 pylon should cover me, but I don't have the isotopes for it. Now, this is interesting. Ah, nope, it's because of the waste. Okay, so yeah, we're really backed up here. I think it's pretty clear I need some better waste storage. But you know what the best thing to do with problems is? Ignore them. So I'm just going to spend my influence on tearing down some more ruins for a little while. So once things are clear enough to run the conversion capsule again, I'll be able to, you know, we'll just we'll enable the employee modules. But basically, like as long as there's no space for our work. Actually, sorry, there is one other thing that I can do, which would be add more waste receptacles.
Hey there, Founder. Just testing some leachate. You never heard of leachate before? It's like seepage, landfill soup, garbage tea. It's the liquid that soaks down through the garbage and pools at the bottom. On Earth, leachate is an issue, but here on Titan, it's something else. We make weapons-grade garbage soup. You throw out something dry that gets dangerous when it's wet, and then you toss a solvent on there, or hell, regular precipitation. At my last job, Founder, we had actual mustard gas coming out of the garbage. On Titan, the big advantage we have is nobody cares about groundwater quality. The stuff flowing underground on this moon, it isn't even close to drinkable, so it doesn't matter if we pollute it. I've always thought, you know, someone should use leachate with intention. Like throw things out so that the poison at the bottom is weapons grade on purpose. That's something I'd love to research, Founder. Well, once we get all this waste under control.
Ah, Vern. I am really enjoying the. So I know the previous update gave us some of these little lore snippets, but obviously we're getting more, and I believe Vern's lines were added in this update. So I actually quite like this. So one, I think it's kind of clear though, if you've watched me play this game for a while, I don't mind playing at the single speed, and this is true for Stellaris. This is true for most games that are sort of pausable real time. I tend to play them this way. And I think one of the big things is that if I do something like a fast motion one, what I usually wind up doing is then pausing. And it's, I don't know, there's just something about sort of that halting, speed, stop, that doesn't quite work for me. I'm not trying to make it. This is one of the drawbacks about saying things on the internet. Like sometimes the immediate response is, well, why don't you? Why are you saying my way of playing the game is bad? I'm like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it doesn't work for me. So, obviously everybody's got their own ways of playing things, but I actually like the process of sort of building the city and watching it run. So the game works, in my opinion, the game works and is very enjoyable at a regular pace. And one of the things that I'm really enjoying about these little audio bits is that even here where I'm sort of waiting to sort of see the outcomes of certain decisions that I've made, it's giving me something to do, right? I'm able to hear these bits of dialogue with Vern. I'm able to, kind of see the different bits of character development on all of that. It's something I actually quite like. So again, everybody's everybody's going to kind of have their own pace in terms of, of these things, whether or not they work out. There's a side of me that wants to just build the other transport hub, but I don't have the resources for it. Oh, hang on. The other resource hub would be here anyway. So yeah, that was just that was a mistake overall. I kind of assumed that I'd have more isotopes than I actually did. So we got 7 people dedicated to constructing this. Oh, right. Okay, because of the waste. So we should get a little bit more efficiency in terms of our workers now that the smokestack is being constructed. There's going to be a cost in terms of doubling it up, but waiting for that waste to get cleared was the real hang up there. Okay, that kind of explains why things were slower. Anyways, so yeah, I'm rather liking the little vignettes just because it gives me another thing and like another reason not to just rush through the game. I definitely enjoy savoring the leachate. Actually, here's another interesting thought about this game. So this is, this is me just sort of thinking out loud about this game and specifically why. So like, obviously, if you look at any of the developer, kind of developer logs, videos, whatever you want to call them, on the Brace Yourself website or the YouTube channel, if you spend some time on the Discord, it's very clear that Brace Yourself has got a lot of very talented and creative people on staff. And of course, it's reasonable to say that, they're going to have, like, I suspect that ideas are not, what if you want a 16-minute 5-time speed run? Well, I can only go up to 3 times, so, although who knows what kind of adjustments you can do. Who knows what adjustments you can do in the, the details in the background. But like, yeah, I mean, it's, I don't, clearly I do not know what lies in the souls of the Brace Yourself team, but I think it would be fair to say that, all right, so now I've got 3 people idle. Four people idle. What's going on? At the very least, we can turn the employee modules back on. But yeah, no, like, again, I'm not trying to make some grand statement as to, what darkness lies in the heart of the team. But like, it's really clear that these are people with lots of good ideas. They know what they're doing. Obviously, we get the benefit of all the hard work and all the good ideas that they have. But the reason why I'm pointing this out is that you need to make a note for that next time they're in chat. Well, I mean, you can see them in Discord. But the reason I'm pointing this out is that, like, there's going to be a reason to make any given game, right? And part of that, I suspect, is going to be that it holds the interest of the team that's making it. I think if you look at any of the Clark Tank videos, it's very clear that they have an idea of what makes a good and marketable game. So, like any creative industry, there is sort of a commercial imperative alongside, alongside sort of the passion and interest. I don't necessarily think these things are in conflict, incidentally. So, like, again, when I know I keep rattling on about the Terminator movies, but honestly, like, Terminator and Terminator 2 are excellent films. Titanic is a commercial success and an absolute masterpiece of a movie. I think Avatar 2 is due out this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm looking forward to it, and I believe they are reissuing Avatar. I cannot wait to see that in theaters again, to see if it still holds up. So I realize I'm only talking about James Cameron movies here, but what I'm trying to say with all of this is the or actually even like thinking of like a filmmaker like Steven Soderbergh, somebody who will make a Schizopolis or a Traffic, although of course Traffic was very it was successful. It won Oscars as well as did financially quite well. But you'll have these people who will do these projects which are obviously a little bit more niche or very niche in some cases. But they are capable of doing, commercially successful films as well. I actually think a great example of this, I know like people like referring to David Lynch and his weird stuff, but it is worth remembering that one of David Lynch's best movies is The Elephant Man. With Mel Brooks was the producer on that, by the way. That is a pairing I don't think anybody was expecting. And I believe it was Eraserhead that actually got him the job. Like it wasn't that Mel Brooks didn't know what he was getting into. Even David Lynch is going to be able to do sort of commercially successful, quote unquote, conventional films. The Elephant Man, Twin Peaks is admittedly a weird TV show, but it is still a TV show that, so far as I can tell, was a bit of a phenomenon when it came out. I don't know, right? Like it's definitely not something that I know of it after the fact. But I'm really belaboring this point here. But all that I want to say is that I do not want to suggest that I see there being a very clear dividing line between, satisfying the need to make back the money that you put into it, particularly if you're using other people's money, right? So if if you have investors and you're not making a genuine effort to try and get them a return, at the very least, they should know that you're doing that. But that's kind of interesting. Look, notice how the pylon looks like it's kind of cut in half when you're zoomed out, but when you're zoomed in, it comes back. I wonder what causes that. Maybe it's the angle? Neat. But yeah, so like when you take a look at the Clark Tank videos, there's a very clear understanding of what makes a good, as defined as commercially successful game. And I guess this isn't to imply that secretly everybody at Brace Yourself is kind of holding on to this passion project that would be so wonderful if just the boss wasn't so worried about making money. But it essentially, there may not be a lot of surprises if you look at those videos and you sort of see some of the things that that Brace Yourself is working on. But again, even within that set of projects that sort of fit the description, that's sort of the publicly available information, the types of projects that Brace Yourself is doing, it's clear that there are multiple projects that fit that description. I believe, I'm going to count this as evidence, but like, it's clear that they are working on another game because Marlon's Twitter status has changed. We don't know what the game is. I actually have some suspicions as to what type of a game it's going to be. But rather than, when they're ready to talk about it, they'll let us know. So I'm not in any rush to make life difficult. Incidentally, I'm waiting. I think I'm gonna wait to. Sorry, I will get these Obsidian Ruins instead. I just want to get my high level resources up a bit faster. But where I'm trying to go with this is basically to say, one of the things I'm curious about as to whether or not this particular game was chosen is how it lends itself to a lot of extra ideas. So what I mean by that is, like, when you think of Industries of Titan and you think of all of these different things that we're talking about, Vern and his, why don't we deliberately throw away things that are really toxic? That sounds like a great way to get some new weapons. That kind of talk. pretty much every little bit of lore that we get. I actually really don't like calling it lore. Like every little new detail that we get about the world is something that sort of seems to spin off like 4 or 5 other ideas, right? And you can notice this too in the way that people talk about the game in the Discord, where definitely there's a lot of, it would be so cool if we could do ... And actually it, you know, I'm paraphrasing here. You know, I would recommend, if you want to hear what Brace Yourself is saying, just look at their own words. But it actually does really seem like sometimes the replies are, it's like, yeah, that really is a cool idea. We would have loved to do it if we had, you know, unlimited time and money, but we had to cut that, or we ultimately decided not to pursue it because we do actually intend to give you a full game at some point. Again, they put it better, but so again, it's taken me forever to get to the point. But essentially, what I kind of wonder is there something like, so there's a whole series of events that led to Industries of Titan being the game that that Brace Yourself kind of put the time and effort into realizing. And I wonder if one of the factors that makes this game appealing to a company like Brace Yourself is the fact that it lends itself to generating so many, oh, that's a neat idea, that's a neat idea, that's a neat idea kind of ideas, or if there's some other factor that makes it desirable to pursue. Okay, clearly we've gotten past our problems in manufacturing. Well, not entirely. The conversion capsule's still full, but I can at least start putting down. Okay, so first thing I'm actually going to do is put down some roads, even though I can't use them. And do I have enough to build another transport hub? No, I do not. How on earth is that still full? I might have to take some extreme measures in terms of getting some storage space. Okay, I'll wait till the construction's done, and then we'll see what the road ahead looks like. I'm gonna need. Ooh, we're not even close. So, you know, the better thing for me to do is shut off the mineral input modules. So that's going to leave us a little short on our mineral upgrades for a while, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Okay, we'll have 2K, so it's a chance for us to buy up some more stuff. I do want to get a mine, just because it would make so much sense to have a mine, just kind of hoover all this up and then get demolished. I am thinking a storage facility would be a good idea right now, though. So, stick a storage facility down for waste in this area. What are my other options? Yeah, Science Lab wouldn't hurt too, just because of the artifacts. Okay, I'm actually going to buy the mine first. I'm not going to build it, but actually, I'm going to build it. Oh, is that a good idea? Well, yeah, because I'm not going to build that many trucks right away. Okay, so that's not going to... Yeah. I'm sure there's a better way for me to handle this, but I think I'll just kind of build it piecemeal. Obviously, the people living here are going to be pretty upset with it, but whatever. They got nowhere else to move to. Oh, sorry, that's a 4, so I do want to use the... Now, obviously, that's pushing me back on upgrading that energy pylon, but, you know, I do need to prioritize at this point. The reason I'm building this mine is just so I can have one dedicated worker to sort of, you know, scoop up whatever I can in the immediate area and just get it done a little bit faster. I can actually make life a little easier for myself by grabbing one of the patches to begin with. And one of the reasons I'm interested in doing that is that I can still donate the minerals to you know, get the influence, and then that just puts me a little bit further ahead on claiming these obsidian ruins. So getting these minerals isn't even a question of like needing them for the inputs. I'm actually going to have more than enough space for tier 1 minerals for a while. It's really more about getting the other things that I need, which would be sort of land and other resources. Okay, so I want to wait out the isotopes to get this upgraded to get a transport hub underway. That's going to help me clear out the trash a little bit faster. I do eventually want to, you know, build more workers, get more tier 3 things. Longer term, I want to get a command center down for these ruins, but I'm probably going to need to build a proper power plant before that happens. So I'm, for a ruthless opportunist start, I'm actually kind of running slower than what I would normally want to be, but I think we've got a game plan in place for sort of for when we want to, or like we've got a game plan in place for the expansion. In this case, it's just a question of delivering. And in this particular case, I am going to speed things up. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm not in a position to build that storage facility, but I might as well take advantage of it. Okay, so this thing's already mining. So again, it's going to generate pollution. There's going to be consequences for that, but might as well just get the pain out of the way. I'm also going to want to keep an eye on the threat level. I'm not too worried about it, but it does mean that I want to at least take the Lost Tiger back into the city. But I'm not kind of pursuing artifacts as aggressively as I used to, so I think I'll have a little more leeway. So again, priority here first is the Obsidian Ruins, just because that's going to get me access to some materials that I'm having some trouble refining, and then after we gain those, we can start focusing on things like the artifact patches and such. We're already full up on tier 1 minerals? That can't be right. Alright. How are we on... Alright, we're making progress there. So this is going to shut down a couple of things that we need, but I can live with this. So the battery... So basically, the biggest worry about this right now is that I have less energy stored... I have less energy in my overall grid than I used to. The pylon's going to have to be upgraded at some point. Oh, man. I don't think it's going to reach the transport hub. Let me just double check that. So, yep, nope, it's one off. Well, shoot. That was a big old waste of time. And I'll turn the mineral inputs back on. So there's a lot of overlap here. Wait a minute. So if I try to upgrade... I actually want to see... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so let's take a look at the equivalent diagonals. Actually, this one's unambiguous. So when I hit the upgrade, so basically if this moves out to here, yep, nope, doesn't. So why did I think it would behave differently? So I realize I'm messing with my grid doing that. I was just trying to make a little sense of it. Okay, anyways, clearly misjudgment on my part. I'm going to stick this one here. This is just so I don't get in the way of any other roads that I want to build. Well, I guess I kind of am. Yeah, no, I'll live with this. You can always dismantle it after the fact. But yeah, obviously I would have preferred to have built this a lot sooner if I'd known. That's fine. We'll get through it. And we're almost at the point where I can claim these obsidian ruins. I am also mildly tempted to put cleanup above processing, but if I do that, I'm not going to have any... Like, nothing's going to get built, so... So this is going to be helpful when I move the mine. Not too helpful right now, though. Okay, so we're just going to have one lone truck supplying the smokestack for a little while. I will try and buy up additional trucks when the opportunity arrives. But we are going to need to wait for... First of all, we're going to need to wait for a work day. And then, obviously, I need to make sure that I'm not going to use the cash for anything else. So we're kind of back in a holding pattern, but I'm feeling slightly better about this because at the very least, our biggest... kind of our biggest bottleneck, in this case, the waste... At the very least, we've got sort of a logistics network in place to be able to manage that. The next priority is going to be to get the roads built out to this mine. Again, this mine's not permanent, but the one thing that's going to be nice is to be able to transfer the minerals into the factory to be used. Right now, we're sort of being locked up with lack of storage space, which is actually kind of funny if you think about it. There is a small argument for saying that it might be useful not to build a mine and instead to focus on getting individual workers to mine out individual tiles. Because right now this worker is completely tied up in this mine, and all that they're not doing anything right now. Whereas if they were individually working on the minerals patch, at the very least they would be creating minerals that somebody else would be picking up at a future point. To go into any storage building. So like in this case here, this is a completely wasted worker, where at the very least, if I had this worker manually picking up minerals, they would be they would be generating, or they would be at least getting the first part of the job done. So in this case here, it actually makes more sense to kind of turn off maybe not turn off the mine, but at the very least to free up the worker, which I think I'm going to do. At least until the storage is no longer full. So I'm going to clear out the path to the minerals patch, but again, we're going to be waiting. Actually, come to think of it, we're going to change the target. So we'll use another 20 influence to claim this minerals patch. Then we'll build up to 60 to get this artifact patch taken care of.
Founder, I've been experimenting recently with some new methods for motivating the employee support staff. People who don't yet understand why conversion is so critical to the economy tend to get upset working with employees. Oh, it's unethical. But these people gave up their autonomy. They signed a contract. That's ethical. But a lot of the people we have doing employee support work, this is their first big career job. They don't have experience thinking through these kind of basic, low-level morality traps that the rest of us have already conquered. So, I was thinking of holding a class about the whole conversion process and why it's actually very ethical. There would be a workbook, logic puzzles, topics to discuss with your seat partner. Oh, could feel fun, actually. So I'm spinning that up now. We can put most of the advisors and their staff through it in the next few weeks. We'll let you know how it goes, Founder.
Okay, I don't know if this is your experience, but I've got a pretty clear idea of who Lio is in my life. I have to feel like in a workplace there's always one person like that. I still keep getting surprised by the Zethane emissions, but it's a really cool effect. I also just really like the way that the environment looks. So yes, this an informal poll. If you're watching this on YouTube or if you're watching this in chat, if you've got a Lio in your workplace, please let me know. I'm testing something. Of course, the big question for me now is who's the Lio in Brace Yourself. We know there's an Alexa and we know there's a Bahar. Not enough credits to build a truck, but I'm at 252. That's an interest. I'm assuming that there's probably some sort of a lag where this checks, but that was kind of interesting to see the credits roll over and not report a truck being available. Anyways, as you all know, I love my trucks, so I'll probably just kind of sit idle for a while, though. How are we for... Oh, actually, we don't have that many Tier 1 minerals, so I should probably cool it on the donations for a little while. I could give up an artifact, but as I mentioned, that's one of the worst possible conversion rates for influence. So, and I don't mind waiting it out. Again, the rebel threat meter isn't moving that much. The only thing that I kind of wish would be that we could move a little faster on clearing out the garbage. I could dedicate more people to that job. Yeah, so I guess the tricky part here is that with people being dedicated to moving minerals and isotopes and such, I'm really reluctant to mess around with the... Oh, actually, no, there's an easy way of me fixing this. So what I'm going to do here, so notice that there's a bunch of isotopes and minerals just sort of lying on the ground here. But one of my bottlenecks right now is the fact that this mine's not getting empty. So the easy thing for me to do right now is say, okay, we'll hang the stuff that I've mined before, just empty the mines first, and that will hopefully mean that the surplus workers start working on that. I also think in this case I'm going to move cleanup above move resources. I kind of want to see what happens to the... I sort of want to see what happens to the Enterprise when that happens. I'm probably going to have to move it back, but I want to see if everything sort of just falls apart under a mountain of garbage. You feel that when you assign people to a job, it gets capped and other workers don't join. Are you talking about dedicated workers or the like these? Well, I guess this is dedicated, just in a slightly different way. I was always under the impression that the feeling that the workers weren't doing things was more a reflection of the fact that there's a specific order in which things have been I see. That's interesting. I'm trying to think, what would a good... I'm pretty sure that's not true, but I'm trying to think of an easy test for me to try. Well, here's one. Let's assign one to empty mines here. So right now we've got 2 people working on that. Okay, well, one did move away from that. That'd be interesting. Okay, so let's move that out. It'd be nice if I had an example of something where I had multiple workers on... Like, so if I could get more than one worker on clean waste. Because obviously there's not going to be... Yeah, well, it did move... See, it moved up to 2, but then it went back down to 1, so... Okay, so I'm going to watch this clean waste for a little while. If we can get these guys to hold at 2 for a little bit... He's going to quit because the other guy's got it covered, yeah. Well, like, the tricky part is that I think there's a very specific order in which the game, like, by default is going to handle all this stuff. So it's like, you've got that one bit of waste that's in the way, and you really want them to get rid of it, but all, like, the 50 other bits of waste that were generated before get taken out. So one of the things that I was sort of hoping was that we could just see this number move up a little bit higher, so that it would sort of be at this permanent plateau of like 3, and then we assign it to 1, and if everything drops down to 1, then that might be a little more convincing. But you know what, maybe we can play around with this, and let's put this at like top... Whoa! No. Let's put cleanup like right at the top. Let's see if we can force, you know, a big migration of effort up into clean waste. I'm genuinely curious now, Louis, because like this is the thing. Like I've got a certain set of assumptions about how this game works, but it'd be interesting to sort of tease apart the logic behind it. Because obviously, I'll assign more dedicated employees if that's how it turns out. So I'm just gonna wait a little while. I want to see the sort of the movement of the clean waste, and I want to see the general movement of the workers in the environment. So I can sort of get a range of like what the default's going to be. So like obviously here, if I were to go 1 dedicated and I see it like drop down to 4, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well maybe it does like throw workers away. But obviously what's happened is they've just sort of gone through their normal work routine. But if over the next little while we don't see this drop below 4, it's like, okay, so then I'm going to do dedicated 1, and we'll see if everybody just sort of disperses into other jobs and we wind up at this new level of 1. Because if that happens, then, you know, the hypothesis you presented of, you know, dedicated workers crowding out the others, you know, there's a little bit more, like there's evidence that's not as attributable to sort of the normal functions of the game. So let's see. Yeah, again, this isn't like, I don't need to dedicate the entire evening to testing this. So let's toss it up to 1 and let's see if everybody vamooses. That's really interesting. So if this goes down to 1, huh. Well, that explains a lot of, that actually explains a lot of the, some of the, like the questions that I've had in terms of the overall efficiency. Yes, I mean it definitely seems like what you'd said. As soon as you, in terms of dedicated, it seems to, it does actually seem to crowd out. Man, that's really interesting. I always thought that they would augment the dedicated. Huh. I'm just going to do that one more time to see. Well, it can be, right? Like in some situations, you want to make sure that there's like a constant flow. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like if you, like like, so I guess the big thing here would be that like the idea of maintaining a certain level of activity is maybe more costly than it first appears. But yeah, that's a really interesting discovery there, Louis. Thanks for bringing that up. So we'll do it one more time because we're at 7. So if this plummets to 1, that's really hard for us to attribute to chance. But I think we've kind of seen the evidence that we need, that dedicated employees are going to establish a cap. So basically, I'm sitting here. I'm just kind of waiting for these cleanup jobs to finish before. Like basically, what I want to see here is once the, oh, that's interesting. So I want to see the clean waste jobs. I actually want to see the number go down because that's going to mean that somebody's put the garbage in the garbage can. And I basically want to see when that worker has a new job that they want to do, what are they doing? Okay. So under what we thought would happen, I would have expected a worker to move on to another waste job. Okay, migration seems to be happening now. I'll wait this out till they get to 1, but it's definitely looking like they're definitely not dispersing as quickly as the last time. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, this is definitely something that I'm going to bring up in the Discord. Well, see, that's interesting now, though, right? So we've got a dedicated worker, and we had people who were in different jobs moving into the clean waste. So it looks like maybe there was something else that caused those workers to disperse. Because at this point, right, we've definitely had 4 units of waste cleaned up. And even though there's 1 dedicated worker, we know that we've seen people from other jobs come back in. So like it seems like there was something else that caused the great exodus. So it does actually seem like dedicated does not create an implicit cap. But I'm really curious now what caused the workers to sort of run screaming from the cleanup job the first time we did that. Interesting. So yeah, if you were rooting for It's All in Your Head, Louis, it's all in your head. But still, thank you. Like that was a neat little one for us to test. I'm still gonna put this higher than move resources. Oh, come on. I'm just waiting for like Vern to appear. It's like, what are you doing, Founder? So yeah, I'm gonna assign someone to emptying mines. Yeah, I think that's a division of labor I'm reasonably happy with. Also, it gave me time to start mining out this artifact patch. Let's make more mess. And I've got resources, so I might as well use them. Okay, so very slowly we're gonna add more workers to the city corp. I think we want dedicated people on cleaning waste and supplying smokestacks as well. So we're sort of testing the edge with our energy right now. I should really at some point put down an energy plant. We could probably get away with sticking one in here because it's not like we're going to put a road like on this edge. Or do I? There is something of an argument for moving around the edge like this. Okay. If I build another transport hub, I'm going to run into power problems. Yeah, you know what? This is also going to give me some excuses to clean up those minerals. And then what I might do, I might eventually uproot this road and put a power, like an energy plant here. Actually, come to think of it, this is probably going to be a temporary factory, so maybe it makes more sense for me to put the generator here. Yeah, we'll figure it all out. Okay, so I guess the real question right now is what do I want to do with my influence? Well, actually, first priority should probably be to claim these ruins because this is going to be what gives me my ruin monuments, and as a consequence, gets me the sort of influx of of well, like basically just lets me claim more tiles, and that in turn will allow me to build more generators and such. MC, heed not the cares of lesser men. The chalk builds where he pleases. How you doing, MC? Good to see you. Yeah, sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained about this playthrough right now, but I think I've got some ideas. So I was hesitant to build like dedicated mining sites for the isotope node. Actually, come to think of it, the mineral node's not quite as attractive as it first seems. For the simple reason that a lot of my infrastructure plans tend to be built around like being able to connect like a mining site to an overall logistics network. Now, if you take a look at the way that this mineral node works, so it's not as bad as it seems. Like I can put a mine somewhere around here and we're still going to be able to access it. I wonder if it's actually going to tell me. Yeah, so like this is fine. We'll go over the water. That's not a problem. But take a look at what it takes to actually get it to the network. We got to run through this area here, out around the edge. Now remember, this is going to be eventually where some residential and office buildings wind up going. And I either kind of need to go around the edge like this, or I need to go sort of through and into the network this way. That's a lot of effort to just try and get some minerals into the Enterprise. Now, I mean, I'm gonna do it. Like, it is nice to have kind of a dedicated factory for minerals, but it is a bit of a drag that I have to put so much effort into moving all those around. Like I said earlier, I'm not actually going to prioritize the creation of these mines right away, just simply because I have so many minerals on the ground that I can pick up. It just doesn't make any sense. But I do kind of need to get on track for getting a couple of proper production lines up. Again, I'm not going to do that until I'm at the limit of my employees, but still. We should expect also, because we're mining up all these artifacts, for the threat meter to get... If it doesn't get to the end, it's going to get darn close. So that's something I need to prepare for. Although one bit of prep that I can do is to get this shipyard building me another warship. The question is, what am I going to turn off to be able to power it? Workday starts pretty soon. Well, we've got 31k energy, so maybe I just run it through the workday and hope for the best. One of the things I'm kind of hoping to do to balance out the effect of the artifacts is to train employees as close to the rate of artifact acquisition as I can. I think when we did the breakdown, employees were not worth quite as much as I thought they were. So one telling example would be if this threat level goes from 58 to a number lower as soon as the conversion happens. That'll give me some valuable intel. Although maybe the artifact's already been spent, so the effect has already been calculated. We'll see. Wait, it's offline? Oh, wasteful. Nuts! Alright, not worth waiting. Not worth waiting all day for. Let's turn the shipyard on. So 23 is a lot to be losing, but build another Harpagus. Okay, and the storage is full here, so I'm gonna... Oh, nope. Looks like they emptied it out. Cool. Still 26 minerals. That's definitely gonna take a while. So one of the reasons I feel comfortable doing this with the shipyard is simply because we've got 30k in terms of energy storage. So I'm not too worried. I do want to get a generator built, but the generator does take up an employee. So if I can run by with generators built in warehouses, that will help me out. In fact, there's an interesting question that I could ask, which would be if I replace this factory. So I was going to say originally, I could try replacing this factory with a generator. But there is the interesting question of how many floors could I fill with generator. You know what? That's an interesting question. It's going to be like a rough estimate, because obviously you need to worry about things like... Oh, you know what? I think I've actually tried this experiment before. I just don't remember what the result was. So I think I did something like large generator. I think I did like a ring of them here. And I believe inside that ring, so that's something like 2 in the middle, so 4 in the middle there. So we do one of these, and then I think it gets like a battery and a relay and an energy bridge. So these things are like 5 apiece, so that's 10. Wait, is it really as easy as just see? Maybe I should just count the tiles on this one. So that's 5, 6, 7. It's easier to do it here. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 12. Okay, interesting. So we could get, in theory, 4. Okay, so 4 at 9, so that's 36. 2 of those, so that's 72. It would have 2 6 generators, so 72 plus 12 is 84. Okay, so it'll generate 84 per floor. And energy plant generates 48. Well, so two single energy plants on its own would be generating more energy. So that's a non-starter. Okay, so we'll use the blueprints in this case, but I'm going to shift to use whatever you want. Oh, hello, Lyle.
Hey, Founder. Remember that class I was planning to run? Employee Ethics? I think it was successful. I do. I'm still waiting on the participant feedback forms to come in, but I think I taught them a lot. There was some stuff that surprised me. Some people got into much bigger arguments than I anticipated. But it is important to fight this stuff out. People integrate new learning better if they're forced to defend it against outside attack. It's a pretty neat brain hack. Get them to fight it out, and the winner feels a lot more sure about what they know. And of course, I provide them with enough of the right answers to control what the winning argument will be. This time, though, there was a lot more argument than I anticipated. Your Admiral, she's intense, I must admit. Whew. And I was surprised by the corporation monitor we have working with us. Hess, he is a tough one. Anyway, I'm feeling a bit tired. In the future, I should probably hire someone to do this kind of training. We'll talk later, Founder.
Please, oh please, oh please. Let me know what where the Kickstarter is. Tell me what I need to do to get the scene of Alexa just screaming at Leo over the ethics of workers. Because for those of you that don't know, Alexa's got some audio logs talking about her discomfort with workers, and I desperately want to see the Admiral just give the human assets manager a dressing down. I will, please, whatever it takes, just let me know. We might actually be able to bring that up in the codex. If nothing else, we could do an entry.
How you doing, Founder? Taking some time off lately? I tell my soldiers the human brain needs a hobby. You need to get emotionally invested in something that isn't work. My thing is historical weapon simulators. I've got some force feedback hardware that I rigged to simulate a couple lunar gun emplacements. Stuff from back during the crash. Cheap, ubiquitous, low-tech. Honestly, it's beautiful stuff. Back then, you didn't waste resources on intelligent locks, aim assist, any of that stuff. Just cold, hard metal. Some of these old machines are fairly complicated, though. I've spent the last few months scripting just one emplacement. You have to model all the moving parts, test it, reference old holograms. It's fascinating. I keep trying to get the defense staff interested in this stuff, but most of them are employees, and employees don't do hobbies. Now that I think about it, that might be one of the worst things about being an employee. You're physically incapable of having any fun. How's it going, Founder? We recently finished up a round of team building over here in security. It means I made the staff party together, Founder.
Okay, never mind.
That kind of stuff is more important than you think. But not all of them are really suited for partying. Those modded employees, for example. I understand why we manufacture guys like that. They make this city possible. But as people, they leave a lot to be desired. They lose most of their capacity for social relation. They were kind of like furniture. We were sort of partying around them. Founder, I know you need to build more and more of those guys, but I wish there was another way. They can't tell stories about the campaigns they've survived or the ships they've flown. They can't bond with their crewmates. They're just boring. Good at their jobs, yes, but extremely dull.
Just like my
I feel
stream.
like it's not right for us to make people boring. But that's what you gotta do to succeed on Titan, I suppose.
Yeah, so this is, again, I don't want to make too much out of it, because, in the end, like, Industries of Titan is, its big appeal is the city builder strategy element. But, like I was saying a little bit before, this is a game that really seems to inspire a lot of, oh man, it would be so cool if you could do ... And again, not just necessarily from, again, I'm assuming that probably, in the making of documentary, people will be talking about all the really cool ideas that they had that, if only, everyone was infinitely lived and had unlimited amounts of money, that, the super game of Titan would have been. But, the people who play it, right? Again, you just take a look at the Discord. And I think one of the things that's so great about this, and again, if you think about the type of game that we're playing, right? One of these simulators, you're building something and it's getting increasingly detailed and you kind of get to see how the machine works, whether it's Factorio, Satisfactory, Dwarf Fortress, RimWorld. There's more and more of these games and there seems to be sort of an unlimited appetite for them, to be completely honest. But what I think is really neat about this one is the fact that the little audio logs that we've been getting now are suggesting sort of the life behind the scenes. So I get to see the workers run around here, right? And I get to see this truck go into the smokestack, and I like that because I said, okay, I was having a problem with my factory in terms of being able to get workers created because of the waste, and I know that over time there's going to be enough people who work on that waste to be able to basically make it so that I can get more workers that will, again, wind up cleaning up more waste. And, seeing that truck moving along to this smokestack, that's sort of a representation of a plan that I had in the game that is now being realized. And I feel good about that. But what I particularly like about the audio logs, and, it doesn't just have to be the audio logs. There's written codex entries and whatnot. there's these interactions between all of the different characters that are being suggested as well. So, like, obviously I was really excited when Alexa mentioned we had a team building exercise. I'm like, oh God, was this a reference to Lyo's, ethics class that I missed? And no, it turns out it's a separate issue. But when you hear Lyo kind of complaining a bit about how Alexa is, really a really strong, a really intense arguer, you know what Alexa feels about the employees. And I mean, Alexa's no shrinking violet, right? This is your admiral and very good at her job. So again, like, the focus on the game is definitely going to be on building a city and, taking out the competition, surviving the rebels and such. But I really like the fact that in addition to me sort of seeing this world go on and sort of create this system under which, hopefully workers will be able to operate as effectively as possible, I really like the fact that there is this world of my advisors going on in the background. And I sort of have an idea about what certain people in this game think about certain things. And the fact that there's just enough reference to other things, for the other characters, right? So Lyo, like, we heard what Alexa had to say about workers. And so when Lyo references that Alexa was present at the training and she was arguing, we don't need to know, like, Lyo doesn't need to tell us where Alexa was on that, in that argument. We know because we've already heard it from Alexa herself. And I like the fact that I've got enough of an understanding of these characters now and enough of their personality that, the game doesn't actually need to tell me that, right? That we've already sort of understood who, where everybody's priorities are and what they consider important and valuable. And like I said, I mean, it's something that to a certain extent, I've really enjoyed Titan without this. It's clearly not something that's necessary to the enjoyment of the game, but man, am I really glad that it's in this, because I definitely think it makes for a really rewarding, really rewarding experience. I kind of like the fact that I'm getting to know some of these characters. So I will reiterate, by the way, again, I always feel it feels a little corny because it's just one of those things where I know that there is a tendency on on different platforms for people to try and ask for that audience interaction. But I am kind of curious if anybody has. So I've clearly got my favorite characters, but I am kind of curious if anybody's grown attached to certain characters in Industries of Titan. Incidentally, I'm really sorry to do this, but I will share a quick detail about YouTube in the background. So some of you will know that I've started doing regular series on YouTube for certain games. And what I will usually do at the end of a series for something dedicated on YouTube is I'm going to take a little bit of a break. And one of the things that helps with that is it makes me stop feeling like I'm on a treadmill, as like kind of a content creation treadmill. My weekends tend to get completely absorbed doing that sort of thing. So it's just a nice little way of making sure that I don't burn out, particularly when it comes to live streaming stuff. Because obviously, if I'm feeling tired, I get to pick when I make the videos for YouTube. But when I live stream, generally the done thing is to stream at a consistent time, and so. Either I'm going to stream late if I'm feeling too tired, or I'm going to be, not giving my all. But something really weird has happened since I've finished one of these last series. One of the things I've really loved about the series that I've been doing is that it's never guaranteed on YouTube. But for this series, it's actually been a really positive group of people who have been very encouraging on the content. They seem to be into it. Makes me feel good, right? It's always nice to be appreciated. But ever since I wrapped it up, there has been one commenter who's really insistent on giving the least charitable interpretation of what I'm doing in the game and being really obnoxious in terms of telling me what I should be doing otherwise. And this is a game that I understand very, very well. And I'm definitely trying to acknowledge the fact that this is a nice problem to have, because before, you know, YouTube was just an archive and I wouldn't necessarily have anybody watching that stuff. And if I'm going to be making dedicated videos for YouTube, the worst thing is not necessarily that people are, you know, commenting on videos and they're being very annoying about it. The worst thing that can happen is nobody's watching them and nobody's engaging with them. But I'm now about to do the worst possible thing I can do on the internet, which is I see that this person has now commented on a video. And instead of just doing the rational thing and saying, I've never read a comment that makes me feel good after, you know, reading this person. I tend to feel very annoyed after I read this person's comments. I should just move on, delete it, remove the notification in my, you know, on my YouTube list, and move on with my life. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let the city run on its own. I'm going to take a second, and I'm now going to read something that almost certainly is going to annoy me. And it's a paragraph, by the way, so...
Device complete.
Okay, actually, that one wasn't nearly as bad. I mean, they still managed to say something complimentary, which also had like, here's something that's bad about what you do. But that was actually not as bad as that's not something as bad as it was before. That might actually be something that I do a a reply to. There's a little secret in the way that I do most YouTube comments, although I'm going to feel a little bad for saying this, because it now means that people might take a legitimate oversight the wrong way. But there is a video that I do that seems to get caught by the algorithm, and it brings in really abusive comments. Those I never feel good about. Oh, looks like we've got the pollution starting off here. Oh, that was unexpected. So that citizen didn't really have any business being in the polluted areas, but fair enough. But yeah, so I do have a limit on though. The stuff that's like undeniably abusive, I don't really want to give any space to, so those I delete. If it's just like, you know, you suck or you're an idiot or like stuff that's like dumb and doesn't necessarily make me feel good, but is not like, you know, a beyond the pale kind of abusive, that I kind of keep on. I mean, maybe I shouldn't, but whatever. But what is true is that, like, obviously on streaming, I hate backseating, and that goes double for YouTube. But the thing about YouTube that's even more ridiculous is that, like, the video's been made, right? Like, the one I was thinking in particular is commenting on videos that are over a year old. And I'm like, do you think the playthrough is going to change in response to your silly comment? But the one thing that I do is now when people backseat on YouTube, it's the one type of comment I will not respond to. I just don't interact with that. The fact of the matter is I do actually read everything. So I inevitably I'll see it, and it's just, I get annoyed by it. I don't like being told how to play games. I don't see any value in telling people how to play games. Games are perfectly enjoyable without someone kind of leaning over your shoulder telling you, how to have the real experience. But I'm trying to at least lighten up enough so that I don't discourage people from participation in the chat or on the game. But in terms of YouTube, if people want a response, even just like a thank you, if someone tells me how to play the game, no response. if someone is saying something complimentary or somebody's asking a question, basically anything that isn't like you're being a jerk or you're, giving unsolicited advice, those always get responses. And I have no idea whether or not that creates the right incentive or not, because obviously there's going to be some people who just watch, YouTube stuff, and they're not going to subscribe. They just you're the video that popped up in the feed, and they run by. But I don't know. In general, I try to create the right incentive structure. So in this case, like basically, don't reward bad behavior with attention. Just don't give any outward signal that what's going on. Of course, mind you, if you're the jerk on this particular Industries of Titan stream, now you know the secrets. So, so clearly, these guys are making a little more progress than me. They've got a command center up already. They've got a fuel I think they've actually got 2 fuel turbines. Don't seem to have much of a refining operation going, though. Like, they've been able to upgrade the turbine well enough. This is actually really interesting to see. So the way that the AI is playing this game, I don't see any smokestacks yet. So it looks like they've just continued to build factories and just let the trash pile up, which admittedly is something that Vern tells you at the start of the game. Man, we're really losing a lot of citizens. It is something that that your waste manager tells you at the very start of the game. So I don't actually think that's I don't think that's necessarily a bad approach, but it is very interesting to see that the AI will put so much effort into storing up trash and not burning it. So I did just pull another 3 workers out of the pool, which is maybe not the best idea, but in this case here I now have the Naked Wolf. I feel like this should be the 34th ship that I build, but yeah, in this case I get to turn off my shipyard and basically restore power. And I'm actually going to take a second here and shut off this factory just so we can start charging the batteries. So I'm sure everybody won't mind sleeping on the street for a little while. We'll occasionally turn it on just to bring more people into the city, and then we'll turn it off again. We're still going to generate power as a result of that, but it's just not as quickly. So once that number goes up to 18, then we'll shut it down. So seeing the, I'm assuming it's the smokestack that's causing the problems here, because like if I just take a look at the pollution. Like, the fact of the matter is that, well, it's 16. I guess it's not the healthiest place to be. I don't know, though. I mean, it's not that bad. But yeah, so the idea here is... well... yeah, I don't know. All this is kind of temporary. I do eventually... I'm still going to dedicate this to, like, office space and all that, but the whole purpose of building this mine is so that I can clear this stuff out quickly. Which, admittedly, I am taking my sweet time on doing, but... how are we on... okay, we can afford to spike some minerals. Actually, apparently I can't. Either way, though, I can claim these ruins now. I can also build a command center. Now I am going to want to mess around a little bit with where all my energy pylons are placed. I have a feeling that I'm going to be able to realize some efficiencies just like a lot of these placements were sort of out of necessity as opposed to part of a bigger plan. So it's clear here that I'm going to need to give some power to this command center. Now, one thing I could do would be to try and upgrade this energy pylon, but there's a few other questions that I might want to ask. So, for instance, what I really need to do right now is get some power to... so, actually, one thing that'll help me is if I claim this ruin and activate it as a relay. That's going to give me a few more options. So basically... I'm going to want to make sure that I get power to... okay, actually, here's maybe a better way for me to articulate this. The way that this is set up now, I do not need any power beyond this point, right? I need to have power on Mine 1. I need to have power on this part of Factory 3. I need to have power on headquarters. But any... basically, any connection beyond this point, or even at this point, is kind of wasted because all of my all of my infrastructure is kind of built on this side. So, for instance, if I take a look at an energy pylon, like I would want to build them along here. Now I've got roads here, so that's not what I'm going to do. But let's just think, well, if I can upgrade the energy pylon to a tier 3, well, we move 2 of these back, right? This probably isn't going to work, but I bet if I put an energy pylon here and upgrade it to tier 3, that's going to cover the mine, that's going to cover the factory, that's going to cover headquarters, and then I'm going to be able to dismantle that one. And again, we'll sort of build everything else around that. In fact, this is level 2. Oh yeah, the diagonals are always a pain. You know, just for pure experimentation, let's drop one of them over here and see what happens. So the big idea here is to dismantle this pylon and hopefully this pylon, or at the very least move this one over. But we'll see how it all turns out. Again, I'm not in any rush to see how this all turns out. Oh, good lord, it's the workday. I gotta turn the factory back on. So, obviously we're gonna be waiting a while to get the batteries fully charged, but... oh, we're gonna be able to build a road. Oh, that's the minerals oh, cool. So we're going to be able to blow up a lot of stuff. So we're going to start by dismantling this mine. So it doesn't mean I don't want to... it doesn't mean that I don't want to work this minerals patch, but it does mean that I want to move the mine to something that will get me access to more of these resources. Man, my employees are dropping like flies. Wait a minute. Insufficient spaceport storage. Ooh, and we don't have the money for it. No! 13 seconds! Very sad. Yeah, so dismantling this mine's a pretty high priority because that'll be able to just link up the whole transportation network. Again, at some point this artifact patch is going to get cleared out. You know, it occurred to me, that whole digression on the annoying YouTube comments. This is the worst possible incentive for me now, because now that it's actually worked out, I'm gonna do it again. Oh well. I'm assuming they're probably not malicious in what they're doing, but that does not make it any less frustrating to deal with. I think it's just anytime you write a sentence that begins with what you fail to realize. I don't know. I don't think there's a nice way of saying those words. Doesn't mean you can't say them. Just don't expect a warm response when you say that. Back on topic. So one of the reasons why I'm interested in what happens with this. Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, nope, I was... Sorry, I had the right plan. I actually need to move those isotopes out. Oh, interesting. So do we have just too many tier 1s? What's going on here? Nope, that's not it. They just don't want to move them. Okay, that's fine. We'll sort it out. Okay, let's think about where we're going to put the mine. So I think this is ideal. I'm just trying to think if there's a justification to try and move it a little higher. The problem is that we have these little corners over here. No reason to put it lower. Ha! It's the one spot that this mine is not effective. But I can double it up. Or I will when I have the resources available to me. That's so silly that I have to do. Actually, you know what? It probably just makes more sense for me to put the relay down. Or pylon down. I don't really think it matters the order in which I claim these things. I'm just going to let the mine hoover them all up. It's a lot of citizen deaths. So yeah, I mean, our average health is pretty deplorable. The pollution clearly is not... Like, the mine just isn't generating anymore. So, I mean, it's got to be the smokestack, but I just don't see how the citizens are... Like, I just don't think the citizens should be going anywhere near it. Like, sure, if they're in this area here, I can kind of get it, but inside the factory, I mean, it's not really that bad. Even like numerically, right? 14%. That's actually 2% less than it was before. Anyways, we'll keep an eye on it. I'm going to automatically upgrade this command center. The big reason for this is that this is going to be my access to the ruin monuments. So over time, oh man, this is going to become expensive. We're actually, no, we're still okay. Actually, yeah, we'll be able to cover our expenses. Although I am getting a little careless with my conversion. I should be a little more on top of that. I'm pretty happy to see where we're at with waste, though. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna demolish any of these pylons before I get this up to tier 3, just, you know, to avoid making any really reckless mistakes. Because obviously if I demolish my power, sort of all my different relays, there's going to be, that's going to be a little bit harder to get back. But I think, just trying to think this through. Yeah, we'll get a bunch of isotopes back once we get these upgrades in. We're obviously going to have to hang on to this one just to let that mine work. And we're clearly going to need to work with another energy pylon, but I actually think we're probably just going to be able to get away with a small one near the command center to just take advantage of whatever's in whatever energy pylon 5 becomes. We'll see how it turns out. Like, obviously, it's best not to spend too much time speculating about it and just implement it, but...
Founder, I know you work closely with the Council, so you have your opinions on them. I respect that. But honestly, I think they're a bunch of idiots. You're telling me the Council collects artifacts from old Titan every day, and they still can't tell us exactly what caused the collapse? I don't know. I mean, I believe it. If they figured it out already, we'd be living in a Council dictatorship. They'd have ancient bioweapons pointed at our heads, and they'd be saying, "Get in line, jerks." I mean, that's what I'd do if I had ancient weapons strong enough to kill a whole moon. So yeah, I think they're dumb. It can't be that hard to figure out what killed old Titan. Whatever it is, it's lying out there in the ruins somewhere. And if I had the Council's money, you bet I'd find it. I'm sure it was a bioweapon. There's gotta be a sample left somewhere. So, yeah, Founder, be careful with the Council. Either they're dumb or they're playing you. And I think they're dumb, which is probably the worst option.
Never change, Vern. Never change. Okay, so our transportation network is set up at long last. I was going to try and upgrade the turret to a tier 3, but I just have other stuff that I want to do right now, namely, you know, get Energy Pylon 5 up to its kind of peak efficiency. Following that, I mean, we're a way off on building the kind of the residential and office buildings that I need, and I'm almost certainly going to need to make some generators before that, and I'm also going to need to make some proper sort of mineral and isotope refining, although that will be a little bit of an easier sell once I have a proper workforce again. So I think for the time being, I'm just going to content myself with clearing out minerals. I would like to build another fuel turbine at some point, but we don't really need the extra fuel right now, so it seems like it's a bit of a waste. At some point I'm also going to want to activate this ruin so I can get the extra zethane. It's a couple of tiles away, but obviously being able to build up and upgrade the fuel turbines is going to help me to make the most of that. This transportation hub is not necessarily the smartest thing I could be building right now, but I don't have to turn it on. Alright. So this is obviously a little difficult to read exactly where its reach is, but I have some pretty clear ideas for at least the first two of these. So as you can see, what we kind of talked about before, any tiles beyond sort of this line here are kind of wasted. I suppose there is the question about, let's try killing Pylon 4. Okay, so that is gonna kill the transport hub for a bit, so let's cancel that for the time being. Now, the extra sensor range is kinda nice. So I don't exactly want this for the zethane that it generates. Well, then again, yeah, no, we can scrap this for artifacts. So basically, the question I'm trying to answer right now is where... I'm actually going to dismantle just so I can get an idea of my range. So what I want to try and do here is sort of figure where can I put this pylon and still have it be effective. So if I slot it in here, we'll be fine, but it does get in the way of any potential road that I build. If I put it off to the side here, I'm going to have to upgrade it. In fact, I think the ideal location might be here. Yeah. I'm going to need the influence for this, but... So the logic here is that I am going to have to upgrade the pylon, but I'm only going to have to upgrade it once. It'll get me what I need for the command center, and it'll still allow me to run a road through the area. Obviously, I'm going to need to clear out a ruin for that, but that's, you know, it's a separate issue. I really hate seeing those citizens go down. Oops. Oh, that's interesting. Turns out you can use more of your mouse buttons. Alright, until a new ship shows up, let's just turn off the factory so we can generate some more energy. I have 5 influence to go before I get rid of these ruins. Obviously, under normal circumstances, I would take out these mineral patches, but I just want to get my pylons down. I tend to be rather bad at like remembering to do certain priorities. So where I can, I kind of like to try and lock in certain building decisions as early as I can. Again, until I get proper generators down, I'm not going to be able to build those offices and those residential buildings anyway, and of course it's going to take me a while to mine out these minerals anyway, so, you know. Although, come to think of it, I should be a little smarter about how I'm working this all out, so I should actually prioritize these 2 patches over this one, for the simple reason that I can... So clearing these out will allow me to build a road up to the mine, which will make it easier to transport the goods once this road gets built. So I probably should have thought of that earlier, but second best is to clear it out once I've identified it. Now, unfortunately, I'm a little bit of a clown, and right, yeah, there's this one. So I don't want to kill the transport hub until the last possible minute, but it's happening. Okay, so feeling good about the road network here. We don't have access to the headquarters. In fact, one thing I'd eventually like to do is get rid of this storage container, because it's not necessarily going to do a whole lot to me if it's not hooked up to a road. But I can wait on that. down to 10 employees. Okay, we'll bring in 6. Still going to convert as many as we can. The good news is that I'm not going to be drawing down my employee number with the building of more ships. We've got our fleet. That's not going to be changing. Okay. So stick an energy pylon down here. Once we get that up to tier 2, we can get rid of energy pylon 4 and pave this intervening territory. We should probably just blow up these ruins. One thing I'm kind of thinking about is, because we don't have this full connection because of this battery anyway, there's a side of me that wonders if maybe I should just shift everything sort of back one. But I don't know, this factory is generating minerals, so it does make sense to have it connected. Well, it's generating minerals and waste, so it kind of makes sense to just hook them up to the main road. I might mess around with it later. Again, this was always kind of intended to be a temporary building, so I'm not too married to it one way or the other, but to me it seems kind of useful to keep it around for now. The bigger question is, once I kind of get to where I want to go, do I want to try and get rid of all of these waste receptacles and try and build a second track, or do I just want to get a proper factory down, like especially converting the old work from home setup and to turn that into a manufacturing center? I genuinely don't know which direction I'm going to go with that. Ugh, it's so frustrating to see insufficient spaceport storage. Okay, well, we'll upgrade Energy Pylon 7 and then we can get rid of number 4. And I suppose if I don't have anything else to do, I can just throw down some more roads. I'm a little worried about the fact that our cap seems to be 300 for minerals. It's not so much the fact that I don't think I'm going to be able to build anything. Obviously, even if it comes down to like building a fuel turbine, we've got a surplus of 100. What does worry me though is the fact that like I really just get one shot. So I'm kind of I'm accustomed to being able to do very large scale building in like kind of one fell swoop. And what it feels like here is that I've built a system that keeps me from being able to like to do that. Like I build one big project and then I wait a long time for all my workers to sort of catch up. And I mean, again, I only have myself to blame for that. Like, you know, I made certain choices in terms of how I built this, the City Corp, and it's maybe not the most convenient. But I don't know. It's nice to have a big reserve to be able to sort of handle. Well, 1 to handle emergencies, but actually also just 2 to take advantage of opportunities. So, you know, again, if I get these 2 ruin monuments up and I've got tons of influence, I want to have like a lot of minerals to be able to build, you know, just this megalopolis as soon as I can. Okay, we're kind of committed now to connecting these 2, so let's just let's not stand on ceremony. We can demolish this pylon. Oh right, the command center's up and running. Let's turn you off. So I'm building this fuel turbine less because I need it and more just because it's like it's a way for me to use minerals that right now are just kind of sitting, taking up space. So that's honestly not the best justification for doing something in this game, but I just don't like seeing stuff sit idle. I should eventually be adding to the to the mineral patches, but we've got 3 that we're working on right now, so I'm going to activate this inert ruin, get it generating a little zethane. I mean, it's not really going to move the needle, but I might as well get the zethane that I can. The longer it spends just sort of spewing out fuel, the better it is for me, in my opinion. So I realize this has been a little more quiet than I was initially planning. I would like to kind of go take it to the rebels, because that will improve our influence cap, but that will make a lot more sense once we're generating a lot of influence. And that'll happen once we get the ruined monuments. So again, there's definitely some inefficiencies in the way that I've approached this, just in terms of the fact that I've been, like, my starting position is started, like, at the very beginning, I've got all of these resources that I can mine, but I've not really built my enterprise in such a way that I'm going to take advantage of all of the opportunities. You know, ideally in a start like this, you'd see a lot of effort go into you know, capturing these resources, turning them into more productive items as soon as possible. And here I've sort of floundered a bit, but we'll get through it. There's definitely a few options that I have. I'm mildly tempted, incidentally, to try and save up 60 influence just so we can mine out this other artifact patch. The main reason for that would be it's potentially giving me it's definitely giving me access to my first generator, but being able to clear this block out in particular would help me. I'm also really trying to decide, like, there is a side of me that just wants to say, you know what, let's just activate it and save our citizens. It's 5 artifacts. Well, you know what? 5 artifacts is not that expensive for me right now. So let's go for it. This might hurt my my ability to generate zethane, but let's actually see that for sure. Another thing I want to check is, do I have any yeah, all my electrical capabilities are running at full capacity. There's a couple things I might be able to do in terms of messing around with, like, storage containers and the fuel fabricator and that. I may want to consider. So I'm just noticing here. So right now we're generating 7 fuel off of the 34% zethane. I suspect that number is going to fall pretty rapidly. All right. So what are you? You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I don't like the fact that I wasted 5 artifacts on that, but I am gonna salvage it. Oh, this is gonna get ugly. Well, I definitely need to salvage it. I'm just trying to think of the best way for me to move everything around, so I could put... I mean, I could put the defensive turret over here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of good options, but it was definitely not a smart thing for me to activate. Like, it just, the pollution it cleared didn't really cover the most that I needed, and it definitely hurt. It definitely hurt some kind of important sections for me. We're at 90%, so I need to start thinking about where my upgrades are coming. So, like, it'd be tempting to bring this up to tier 3, but I don't have 144 isotopes, and I'm not going to get that in time. I can knock out a few more workers, and probably should have done so quite a bit earlier. We are going to have... well, we'll have 1,000... by the end. I think we've bought up all the built... no, that's not true. I definitely want the residential. I can skip the conversion center for a bit, but... Suspending these artifacts is something that will knock down the rebel threat level. I can't run from them forever, but at this point, if I can get a little bit of a head start, that still works for me. There's a really severe temptation on my part to try and move this defensive turret over, but I know there's no real advantage for me to move this back here. Having it in an area that can defend at least my most critical infrastructure. Obviously, the transport hub, the command center, the relay here, or sorry, energy pylon, that stuff's going to be, like, that's going to be vulnerable, but I have 2 ships to sort of defend in that case. But yeah, I really do want to put down a generator sooner rather than later. Healthy, happy citizen if I ever saw one. Oh wow, look at how clean everything is. So I really should know better, but I am going to put cleanup kind of back down there. I think part of the reason everything's so clean is that there's just no production happening. But I'll take it. Ooh, yeah, we're really testing the edge of... Ooh, we're okay, yeah. Like I said, we're testing the edge of bankruptcy. It's losing a citizen is definitely the way that I'm gonna kill my ability to make more workers. I should try and work out some sort of an exit strategy for these waste receptacles, because if I have to blow them all up at the same time, I'm just never gonna be able to dismantle this this factory. Not that I'm gonna do that anytime soon, but if my waste really is as under control as it seems like it is, now would not be a bad time for me to consider trying to rebalance the priorities. Although again, if I take a look at my 90 is not that much. It's not that much of an overhead. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, this one we want to use a tier 2 to combine, and again, it's not like a super high priority, but it does sort of maximize it does maximize my my return from that one worker. So I think it makes sense to do. And you know what? We're obviously getting close to the edge for the rebel threat, so I'm going to keep this around as a scout, just because I really like the idea of just sort of scooping up a little bit of the fuel turbines, Z-Thane to be a bit of a jerk. But what I am going to do is... we've got the Naked Wolf just in case we need to... oh man, I really did not plan that properly. I should have turned that medical pod off ages ago. Actually, while I'm at it, we don't have a lot of time, but I'll also shut off the lasers. So, I'm late to the party, but at the very least we can try get a little bit in the batteries. Right at the edge there. That can't be. Oh no, yes, it is right because the worker isn't there yet. Yeah. So this is a good example about why I decided to remove it. Now again, we're not going to get a lot of Zethane from this area anyway, but obviously killing the Zethane generation in headquarters, not really getting that much in the factory where everybody's dying. Like in this case here, it was just too much of a, it's just kind of too much of a hit on stuff that I needed, and not really enough of a return. Turn that thing on, grab a couple more bodies. We definitely need to try and make a little bit more of a return than what we are right now. Now, one thing I could do would be to upgrade the factory, but that's not happening.
Founder, I've been thinking. The way we handle employees now, it seems cutting edge today, but in a couple years, it won't be. Employees work hard and they don't complain, but they're not so great at social tasks. Currently, corporations are rushing to fill that gap with AI, with machines. It's flashy, it's cool, but it's not the correct solution. No, I think the correct solution is still people power. Social tasks need social workers. Social workers who can work forever and never complain, but still humans. So, how do we combine the best of humanity with the best of employee technology? It's not about making AI better, it's about making humans more obedient. I think that's the next frontier in workforce technology. That's what we need to figure. How to keep that human ingenuity, that human sparkle, but none of that bad human attitude. Think about it, Founder. That's the kind of world we would thrive in. If we had those workers, we could do anything.
I'm like it. I wonder if they chose to do like some of the more overtly like repellent dialogue in this particular update. Like I'm wondering if the more, like I kind of feel like Ayana Oak is one of the more sympathetic characters, although definitely her ambitious side is coming through in the dialogue that was added sort of prior to the, or in the, not prior, but added in the previous update. I'm pretty sure Alexa's dialogue was added in here, so I wonder if like more of the baddies got added on this one. I still like I definitely felt that like Zvern was a much more like sympathetic character. I don't know if I want to say nice, but then I remember seeing the description, his dangerous ideas, and I'm like, wait a minute, what dangerous ideas? Where's this coming from? And then of course now we get to see, we get to see all of it on display. It's wonderful, but obviously I was a little surprised. So I still like Vern quite a bit, but I am under no illusions as to whether or not he is a good person. So I think I'm at the point here. I'm just going to save up to get the artifact patch. Although I'm wondering about all this idleness. We've got 14 idle workers, but we've got a bunch of. Well, that explains it. We just don't have any storage space for all this stuff. Okay. How the heck do I make this work? Right now I'm trying to think about how and where. Oh, actually, this is easier than I thought it would be. I'm just gonna, this is kind of like an overflow storage facility in this case. So I might upgrade it, but this is really more about just putting something in place so that I don't have my work interrupted by, excuse me, so I don't have my work interrupted by people not knowing where to put stuff. Actually, that gives me the option to remove the storage in headquarters. Interesting. And I am going to wait for the influence to get up to 60 so we can start mining out that artifact patch. If it's less than 5, I want to take it. Yes. Okay. So interestingly enough, this cost more, but it gives me... Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. So this cost 3, this cost 4. I would be getting 8 waste for it, so it seems like... Okay. Long run, I want to get rid of Road 10 and replace it with the artifact patch. That's going to take a while, though. So the storage facility is going to tide me over. It's kind of overflow for everything. I'll also include waste. And actually, no, I won't include waste. Because that just means it's a much longer drive for the truck. Everything else, though. I really need to get a game plan about how I'm going to either move or improve this factory. Nope, and we've got a threat coming up. So I kind of got to be careful about when I activate the... There we go.
Founder, your city seems to be thriving. I'd love to help you with that.
Okay, so I'm gonna wait on the alarm until the last possible minute, and this is just because of the the hit to my batteries. Although we're in leisure time right now, so I can get a little extra power. One of the big things, though, is I'm really short on credits, so... Whoa! It's a speedy little sucker. Alright. So they just really laid into us there. I don't think I've ever seen a ship move that fast. It's got one big gun, so it's going to be a little hairy for a bit, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to see this through. So right now I just want to focus all the fire on the gun. Once we take out the gun, we might be able to think of something a little more elegant in terms of taking out this ship. But right now, just damaging the gun enough to stop it from hurting us is the name of the game. Also, I'm probably going to have to manage the priorities. I really wish they'd get back on that gun. Oof. Hope you guys don't need a place to sleep. So the good news is that at least we're going to be taking out the gunner. So I'm assuming their options are to repair or to fire. Yeah, okay. So this will be a pretty straightforward fight for us then. Stop dying. Holy smokes. I probably should have been paying closer attention to this. So, this is something the defense turret can help us out with. Oh, and it's on fire. Okay. Actually, yeah, so the big problem here is that I don't have a lot that I can work with as far as credits are concerned. So any repair is actually going to be fairly costly. I had a sneaking suspicion there might actually be a second ship, and I was like, but I want to watch I want to show you what happens when the whole crew dies. So, my bad. So the reason why I'm letting this fire burn for a bit. Actually, there's no more damage that's going to come in, so I can afford to just run with it. Let's just turn this on for a second. No livings. What? Oh no, only room for 18. That's right. I just need one more citizen to die. Oh no! I don't think we're going to be able to afford to get rid of all those fires. We'll cancel the repair just so we can get rid of the fire for now, but alright, yeah. We definitely need to get our finances under control. I'm embarrassed for this ship. Okay. Now is a good opportunity for us to bring in some more bodies. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I've already given them the priorities that that they should have, right? I think these two should be working on taking out the guns, but I'm hoping one of the employees doesn't get taken out. It's kind of too late for us to... Nah, they killed him. Darn it. So that's going to cost us when we, in terms of conversions. All right.
Not too tired to put up a good fight, I see. Never mind. This only makes me more determined to beat you.
Definitely going to be some lean times. So I do still want to have a large number of employees. I'm not really gonna... I'm not gonna change the conversion efforts. Wait, how? Oh, gross. Yeah, man, that's kind of weird. So, like, the way I'm looking at this, right? Offense, power, crew, fuel. So, I mean, maybe it really was the case that they were working on offense and power, but, like, I definitely feel like people had some... I feel like my workers had some really weird priorities as far as making this all work. So this is definitely going to be pretty costly as far as restoring my my workforce. But we'll do the conversions. We'll make the most of it. There's no advantage to keeping the shipyard open right now. So charge up the batteries. When the workday starts, we're gonna have to turn on the factory, and once we start making some money, we'll be able to play around with the shipyard. One bit of good news, though, is that we're not capped on our production anymore, so we're in a reasonably good position to start wasting minerals on pet projects. Okay, that's kind of working as intended. I don't think we're going to be in a situation where we're too short on influence to keep mining the mineral patches. The most useful one to me is right here, and eventually these ones. But I think this is all manageable. The big priority for this one is just so I can get a road up and have the mine empty into a storage facility or something like that. I'm gonna get rid of these roads when the time comes, because I'm gonna want to basically have residential office, or actually office would make a little more sense here because this is like right next door to the council hall. Yeah. Oh man. Livability really changed. Well, it's miserable. Yeah, so I was thinking like residential, office, residential. Maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense, I'm not sure. And what does surprise me, we're actually at a point where I have idle, or not anymore, but we're actually kind of running out of things to do with our employees, which surprises me a bit. So I'm just going to keep an eye on the citizens number and any migrant ships. So anything, essentially when I see 2 citizens, I would take that in. Eventually it'll be 3, and again, I'm really just looking to sort of replace. So 1, I'm looking to get to the cap, and then 2, I'm going to look to replace the ones that I'm gonna need to replace the employees that wind up going on the ship. But for now, I'm just content to keep producing a bunch of minerals that we will be using to do things. Well, minerals will be using to build structures, but essentially I want to get all the refining and all of that work done so that I can get the upgrades and generate a lot of influence and just kind of really let the enterprise start taking off. The minerals will be particularly helpful when I start building those residential and office buildings. So being able to have the 1.2k here is pretty helpful. Although again, I'm kind of short on cash, which isn't a good feeling. I forgot to turn this on again, didn't I? So we missed an hour of work, but we'll still be up in terms of cash. I'm gonna do something silly and hit repair all. The thing that worries me about this is that we might actually go into the negative numbers as far as money is concerned. But I think that's just a risk I'm gonna have to take. So I'll repair the buildings first, then I'll move on to repairing the ship. Because if I'm going to be in a situation where I lose money, I do not want to have to build more workers. Well, the game may be forcing my hand. Yeah, we're already going to be at a negative number. So in this case here, the priority becomes a little bit different. In this case, we actually want to have as much of the money go towards... So in this case, we want as much of the money to go towards as many repairs as we can possibly afford. And ideally, we want to convert as many of the workers as we can before the bills come due. Oh my god, look at those numbers. I'm really curious what's so deadly for my citizens. Yeah, we're down to half capacity. So, I mean, again, this is going to have consequences. I need to... We've got basically 5 hours before I'm going to... before I'm going to get into trouble as far as generating workers are concerned. I've got 4 that I need to make. Heat wave. Buildings can catch fire more easily. God, look at that effect. I'm pretty sure I've seen a heat wave before, but it still looks very cool. So we'll see where we're sitting after a few minutes in terms of bringing in migrants. I mean, pretty much any ship that's coming in is going to be a boon to us at this point. So I don't think we're in a spot where we're going to be able to reverse the trend as far as the cash is concerned, but at the very least we can try and get the numbers up. Please tell me it is not the one who was on the... Okay, good. Okay, so this is pretty good as far as the roads are concerned. So now we have a direct line to the mine. Again, we still have a few of these things we need to mine out, and then we'll uproot all of it. But this is kind of working as intended. Okay, good news. We've got two hours and change, basically, to get this done on time. Okay, so this pollution number is making a little more sense now. Or does it? Yeah, no, 21%. That number's bigger. Maybe in this case this is the mine, I'm not sure, but that's obviously not going to be permanent. Certainly, once I get residential areas up, it'll give more protection from from pollution. So in addition to the fact that we're not going to have that mine kicking around anymore, this will give us a little more. The building will give a little more relief. Hey, government workers. Okay, we can afford to turn off the shipyard now. We're not really going to get anything out of that. I'd kind of like to turn off the factory because it's not really going to matter. We're still going to run into a deficit, but in this case, buying up a truck seems to make sense. I don't think I'm going to be able to do any more conversions after this last one. Yeah, we've only got one more. So we're going to be up to 20. We're going to be short 2, and we're going to have to wait a day because we're not going to pay our workers. I mean, maybe I'll get lucky. If the conversion goes pretty quickly, I might be able to sneak one more in under the wire, but we're definitely not going to be at capacity when the time comes. Mind you, we also don't need so many workers because we've got nine idle, so they're kind of getting paid to do nothing. Or not getting paid to do nothing in this case. Nope, we failed to pay, so we're not going to be able to convert. So I can actually save a little energy by turning off the conversion center for a day. But for now, I'll just turn off everybody's homes because that's the kind of person I am. Okay, so I suppose the question now is what do the next few turns look like? We've already got our tier 3 command center. The biggest thing holding me back right now is a lack of power generation. And I did sort of do the, kind of the mental math in terms of, not exactly, I mean, I kind of tested it out in terms of a blueprint, but building a factory for energy generation doesn't really make sense in terms of where I'm at right now. So what I want to do, again, the reason why we're mining out this artifact patch here, in fact, we can take a look and see. Yeah, so we've got 9 artifacts left. It's not going to be done. It's not going to be done anytime soon, but we'll get what we need. And effectively, what's going to happen here is we'll put a road down. We'll uproot road 10, and that's going to give us space for our first power generator. So that's going to go here. Now, when I do eventually build sort of the residential and office areas, there may be space for another generator in Factory 3. And then, on top of that, if I get rid of Factory 1 at some point, I might even have a third generator there. Again, that's kind of getting ahead of myself, but it's nice to sort of anticipate what some of this stuff's going to be. So, for the time being, though, that one of the biggest priorities for mining out that artifact patch is specifically so that I can get the space to generate to do a generator. The one difference, though, is I can't actually make the generator now. I know I'm going to want to at least put a generator in the empty plot here, and if I've got 10 to 12 idle workers, and I'm not going to miss one of them going to work for that at that plant right now. So in this case here, previously I was a little constrained in terms of what my minerals and such were. Clearly that's not the case anymore, so we'll start by building at least one part of the energy plant, and then we'll upgrade when we get a chance. Okay, we can turn that on for some more bodies. And the more workers, the better. Or, sorry, more citizens, the better here. And we've got 22, so... once the minerals are accounted for, I still need to deal with that isotopes patch, but I think we're getting close to the end game as far as this little pop-up mine is concerned. And again, hopefully that'll ease up on some of the pollution. Doubtful, but we'll see. Another thing is getting a research center down would be nice, because then I can potentially start like looking into the like fan technology in that. Just being able to have a fan sort of blow away the pollution from this end would be pretty helpful. I really like this song. I mean, I like everything about the soundtrack, but this is a very memorable song in the soundtrack for me. Okay, so this thing's going to eat 12 fuel, but it generates 48 power for us. So at this point, I don't need to like turn on and turn off all the different buildings. In fact, I can actually turn on my command center now. Although I will turn off the shipyard just because it's nice to have a little extra. I at least want to get kind of up to the capacity. So one thing that I can do with all of these idle workers is I can start investigating these different ruins. Now again, the priority is eventually going to be to claim these ruin monuments. We're going to need another command center. This is the ideal. For this, we would need 64 energy, an employee, 400 minerals, and 144 isotopes. So yeah, very, very costly, but 100% worth it, given the opportunities that I have in the area. Now again, I'm going to need to get myself on slightly more secure footing as far as my finances are concerned. But it's in shooting distance. Like I definitely want to get a game plan in place for getting this ruin monument going.
Survey complete.
Now I'm trying to think why. Oh yeah, we're at 20 out of 20 because I turned off the conversion center. And again, I'm not going to turn that back on until we've paid the workers.
Survey complete.
Vern.
Hey, Founder. Sorry, feeling a little pissed off today. Forgive my, sharp edges. Just took a call from my daughter. Yeah, I got kids. I got 2 daughters back on Earth. I was a great dad. They don't see it that way, but I was a damn great dad. They never had to live in a pod. They had, like, pets. I bought them a tank lizard or something. But they were honestly glad when I moved off to Titan. We argue all the time now about the worst stuff. Listen, my older daughter's letting her teen kid get a brain chip to teach him to dance. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. No tech company's gonna hire someone with an entertainment chip in their head. One day he'll regret it. The human brain can only take so much modding before it falls apart like cheese with holes. Letting a teen install fun hardware in his brain is ridiculous. Anyway, my daughter and I start arguing about that. Oh, you never let me do what I wanted, blah, blah, blah. It gets nasty. Sorry, Founder. We'll have to talk some other time. I'm gonna go blow off some steam in the lab.
Fond of Vern's dialogue there, Louis? By the way, I apologize again. This feels like a little bit more of a low impact stream, and I realize the last one didn't have a whole lot happen in it either. But I don't know. So despite so it's obviously not kind of consistent with the Ruthless Opportunist start to have such a slow beginning. But other than the fact that my citizens are dropping like flies, this is actually not a pretty bad start for me. Like I've got a very clear path to all of the different upgrades that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually feeling pretty good about where we're at. I also note the objectives that we have. So, 150 influence is not that hard to get. 8 ships are not that hard to get. 120 tiles would probably be one of the more challenging ones. Although again, we've already got halfway to that goal by building one command center. And it's obvious that we're going to build a command center to gain access to the isotope node and a command center to gain access to the mineral node. So, as it is, we may... I don't think we're quite going to be at the point where we can achieve that victory with those 2 command centers. I think probably I'm relying a little too much on my headquarters there, but we're well on our way to martial mastery for sure. Political powerhouse. I don't know if I'm going to go for the activated inert ruins again. That one wound up being a little bit challenging, but of course, top influencer. Well, if we achieve 150 influence, we can probably achieve 160. Destroy 4 rebel HQs. Well, given the fact that I'm going to be doing a high influence approach anyway, this is not a difficult one for me to achieve. What will be difficult, though, is I do need to pick one of the other political powerhouse. So retain 1,050 citizens. It can be done, but I'm definitely going to need to ramp up my my migration efforts and my infrastructure for that. Although we do have some plans in place, right? We're going to be doing residential office, residential. We could actually probably get away with doing residential office, residential here as well. And then we'll put a few in this area. So as long as we have enough power and fuel to sort of manage all of that, I definitely think we'll be in a good enough spot to manage all of that. Now, timing is part of this. Obviously, the rebels are not going to sit idle. I don't know if there's going to be anything that the rival corp does to us, so we'll just do a quick flyover of their different... Oh wow, they've got a council obelisk already. Well, that's interesting. So I'm going to assume that the AI at the moment is not playing by our same rules, because surely they would have to have a research center to have gotten the council obelisk. Like you just can't build the council obelisk on its own. You have to research it before you can do that. Yeah, okay. So the idea of me trying to learn how Industries of Titan works by monitoring the AI and its behavior, probably not the smartest idea for me to do. It's pretty clear that they're just going to build their buildings, and it may or may not have some resemblance to the rules of the game. Oh wow, we're already full on the storage. Okay, I gotta find something to do with these. Ah! Nope. Keep watching the bad guys. Okay. I'll wait the last influence out. And then I think I gotta wrap it up. I know we only did one rebel wave, but oh, hang on. We got all the patches. I gotta wait for the isotopes now. Okay, I'll tell you what I'll do instead, because the codex entry was so memorable.
Hey, Founder. Sorry, feeling a little pissed off today. Forgive my sharp edges. Just took a call from my daughter. Yeah, I got kids. I got 2 daughters back on Earth. I was a great dad. They don't see it that way, but I was a damn great dad. They never had to live in a pod. They had, like, pets. I bought them a tank lizard or something. But they were honestly glad when I moved off to Titan. We argue all the time now about the worst stuff. Listen, my older daughter's letting her teen kid get a brain chip to teach him to dance. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. No tech company's gonna hire someone with an entertainment chip in their head. One day he'll regret it. The human brain can only take so much modding before it falls apart like cheese with holes. Letting a teen install fun hardware in his brain is ridiculous. Anyway, my daughter and I start arguing about that. Oh, you never let me do what I wanted, blah, blah, blah. It gets nasty. Sorry, Founder. We'll have to talk some other time. I'm gonna go blow off some steam in the lab.
I, of course, will share the one. I'm actually trying to decide if I like Leachate or the Council more, but I'll do the Council because I think this is a wonderful little revelation into Vern's character.
Founder, I know you work closely with the Council, so you have your opinions on them. I respect that. But honestly, I think they're a bunch of idiots. You're telling me the Council collects artifacts from old Titan every day, and they still can't tell us exactly what caused the collapse? I don't know. I mean, I believe it. If they figured it out already, we'd be living in a Council dictatorship. They'd have ancient bioweapons pointed at our heads, and they'd be saying, "Get in line, jerks." I mean, that's what I'd do if I had ancient weapons strong enough to kill a whole moon. So yeah, I think they're dumb. It can't be that hard to figure out what killed old Titan. Whatever it is, it's lying out there in the ruins somewhere. And if I had the Council's money, you bet I'd find it. I'm sure it was a bioweapon. There's gotta be a sample left somewhere. So, yeah, Founder, be careful with the Council. Either they're dumb or they're playing you. And I think they're dumb, which is probably the worst option.
Yeah, I've got, I think, Ayana and I'm pretty sure I've heard Ayana and Liao speak poorly of Vern. Let's try.
Founder, hope things are going okay? Great. Listen, I've been talking to some of the other advisors. I'll be honest, I was expecting to learn a lot from them, but I think I'm learning more about how not to work. Like, Alexa is a really competent person, but she's just too relaxed. How could you be so confident? If I were her, I'd be more intense about this job. And Lyle gets the job done, but he's always getting in huge fights with the managers in his department. And Vern. I don't know, Founder. Vern doesn't seem like he actually does anything. He's always leaving the office and coming back smelling weird. Like ozone. Ugh. It seems weird that the head of waste management is personally burning waste for fun. So, yeah, I used to think I was a bit of a raw recruit, but now I'm thinking that I'm actually kind of better than these guys. I mean, I am a good worker. I'm a great worker, actually. I've done a lot of important stuff for the city so far. You and I should talk about my career plans sometime, Founder. I feel like getting me a promotion could help both of us.
And then...
Founder, we need to talk. I've been conducting an efficiency review of your advisor offices and... well, the waste management team is not working optimally. That's an understatement, actually. Vern allows his subordinates to self-manage. He doesn't check timesheets, doesn't give performance reviews, doesn't hold regularly scheduled one-on-ones. I tried to confront Vern about it, but he started ranting about work philosophies. He's doing all of this on purpose. It's a management strategy. Look, there are a limited number of worker management philosophies which are proven to increase performance, and this is not one of them. Letting workers manage their own time sounds good, but it doesn't work in practice. If Vern won't start leading with a stronger hand, Founder, I think you should start headhunting a replacement for him.
Man, I can't imagine execution being something that the council would do. I could see the rebels doing that. I feel like the council just has far more worse things they can do to you than execution. I mean, obviously, Bahar, their whole story is sort of forced. They were going to be forced to become an employee by their forced conversion, I guess. And that was kind of the point at which they became the head of a rebel faction. So I'd assume that's probably closer to a council fate. We'll see, though. Again, I really like this stuff here. So again, I apologize that the last couple of streams have been maybe a little more calm than I like them to be. I actually kind of like Calm Titan. Like I do enjoy the challenge of the combat stuff, but honestly, I just kind of like building cities and watching everything kind of work. So it's my Zen mode. If I don't rock the boat too much, then I get to take on the enemy on my own. I was actually just thinking too. One thing I forgot to mention in terms of just the different ideas that pop up out of Titan. Like you can imagine from some of the stuff that Alexa talks about, you can almost imagine what ground combat would look like. And the idea is, is it meaningful for there to be converted soldiers? Is there something about the type of like the removal of the personality traits? I'm pretty sure Alexa talks about some of that, like relative to kind of combat performance. Just I think the idea is generally employees are not as effective. Interestingly enough, for those of you who like science fiction, there is there's a David Langford story that sort of deals with it. It's not exactly employee style thing. Like, so people who have had their sort of emotions forcibly ripped out from them alongside their internal organs. But it's sort of these soldiers who are capable of regenerating. So essentially they face death multiple times, and that is how they become fearless. But it also has an effect in terms of just their overall humanity. It's a pretty interesting little short story. I'm basically trying to read more short stories because one, they don't take as long, but number two, actually, there's really good writing in them. Like, it's kind of, obviously, if you don't have a lot of space, you kind of need to convey the idea as efficiently as possible. I'm sounding like Lio, but like, I don't know. I have a lot of respect for people who are able to write short stuff. But in any case, for some reason, I was thinking about that Langford story. I wish I had the title, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But yeah, I'm liking this new update. I don't really know. So I'll be honest with you. Like, obviously the Rival Corp was the headline feature, and I'm not 100% sure what it's added other than its presence on the map right now. I should maybe review the patch notes again to see if it gives anything a little more clear about what's going on. But I don't know. Its presence is enough for me. Like I'm intrigued, and I'm definitely interested in seeing how that develops. But as far as I'm concerned right now, I'm just going to kind of carry on with my plans. And if it's clear that there is some kind of a threat coming up, or if there's something that's going to be getting in my way, I'll move on. But I'm assuming there's probably two things that a rival corporation would add on the existing map, which would be, number one, it's another way of potentially losing. So, you've got the rebels that will attack you and the City Corp, but if there's another corp that potentially can win, like achieve its victory conditions before you do, then you want to work. Yeah. So, and actually, Louise said the other thing is, it's also possible that they are going to try and claim resources that you want to have access to. Of course, the catch here is that they're so far away from me that I just really don't see a situation where they're necessarily going to be threatening resources that I want to access. Now, again, I have a very ponderous pace in terms of playing this game, so it could in fact be that they wind up taking half the map before I, before I actually get on with what I'm trying to do. But again, I'm definitely doing a very influence heavy kind of kind of playthrough here. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. I realize, again, it's been two calm streams in a row, and I do need to admit, like, it is going to be Phantom Brigade next week because of Tactical Tuesday. So I'm gonna try and come back to Titan. It may be that another update needs to happen before I'm able to get there. And the reason I say that is that next week Old World is going to be released on Steam. So I would actually, some of you may remember that I have done Old World in the past, and it was largely because of the streaming, like the copyrighted music, that I sort of stopped doing it. Well, they now have a streamer-friendly mode, and actually they are going to be, again, they're going to be releasing on Steam, so it's a good time to kind of remind everyone of the existence of that game. Plus, I like, 4X strategy, so I don't plan on, like, unseating any of the Brace Yourself stuff. I generally don't like announcing this sort of stuff ahead of time, because obviously there's plenty of things that can go wrong, but it seems like I may be getting a key for the next Stellaris DLC, Overlord. So that is going to mean that will continue on with Mondays. I wasn't hoping that I wouldn't get it. Obviously, I'm delighted to be able to keep doing Stellaris. But it does mean that a lot of the days are sort of spoken for, because, of course, I've also been enjoying Starflight on Fridays. So one way or the other, I'm going to do my best to try and make sure that I'm covering all my bases and that all of the things I want to cover are getting covered. But it does mean that opportunities for doing some extra Industries of Titan streams are fewer and far between. And so that may mean that this particular playthrough kind of gets put on the back burner for a little while. But either way, I will do my best to come back to this because I like Titan a lot. I want to see how this one works out, just because I feel in a very safe position, even though I'm in Ruthless Opportunist. And I don't know. I don't learn if I don't try new things. So I'm curious to see where the playthrough goes, and I'll do my best. And Olaf and Louis, thank you very much for your kind words. Let me just take a quick second here and see who is online. I actually still have some coffee to finish, but probably means I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight, but I'm already committed. Okay, so no Industries of Titan streamers. Is anybody playing Phantom Brigade? Nope, but they've got a cool new poster for that. You know what? There's a lot of really good people who are streaming right now. I will draw your attention to Intelligame. And it's not because I'm hosting him. It's actually, it's because I'm going to be hosting somebody else. But okay, apparently the bot, there we go. Intelligame does do this for a living. He's playing a game called Urban Cards, which I've not heard of. But he's definitely an interesting guy and very friendly. However, Valiant Cheese, who did the Linux Game Jam, is working on Hive Time. Hive Time has got some Twitch integration in it, although I think he's developing rather than playing it. And I mean, I really like watching him go over the submissions to the Linux Game Jam. But again, he's a game developer. I don't know about the Industries of Titan crowd, but I know a few of you have expressed that you are interested in doing a game development. And I know Valiant Cheese not only uses sort of free and open source tools, so we're talking Blender, Audacity, Godot, but he's really, like, as he puts it, helping game developers is sort of his hobby. And so in addition to the fact that I actually quite like Hive Time, I think he's doing an update to it because World Bee Day is coming up. Hive Time is actually a really nice bee-themed city builder, which if you've not checked it out, I highly recommend that you do. It's available on a pay as what you want basis on itch. And I think it's really cool, especially for him because so much of his game development is done on Twitch, and because he is sort of willing to sort of help people achieve those, ambitions that they might have for game development, and particularly in a low to no cost way. I always like being able to host him, particularly when he's doing things that are on brand. So I'm going to send you off to Valiant Cheese with Hive Time. Please treat him well. And I'll see some of you Friday and some of you next week for Brace Yourself. Until then.